Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its mission, to explore strange new worlds, to discover new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Captain's log, stardate 6223.8. We are en route to the glorious Pebble Scientific Academy, where we...
Enterprise, this is Captain Luke Rayner of the USS Alexander. We have returned from the future. In 8 days, the United Federation of Planets will be completely destroyed. A new...
My God. Captain's log supplemental. We have tracked the Alexander's course to Espoir Station, a scientific research facility in the Omega Maelstrom sector. We are about to set course for that system, hoping to discover the subject of its last ominous message.
Captain, 2 Velocity frigates are decloaking.
In addition to its cloaking capabilities, the lead ship is mounted with 3 forward-firing photon torpedo bays.
We are being hailed.
On screen.
This is Captain Bevander Zane of the Alassi Frigate Interdiction. You are no match for our new Storm-class frigates. We demand your immediate surrender.
Forget it. Give us 5 minutes to decide. No matter how good your ships are, they're still being captained by lice-ridden Alassi hypocrites. I would lose all self-respect surrendering to a person like you. Give us 5 minutes to decide.
5 minutes for what? What kind of a fool do you take me for? Goodbye, Enterprise.
Raising shields.
Arming weapons.
Target analysis on.
Captain, they are fleeing!
Captain's log. We have engaged in a battle against the Alassi. I cannot help but wonder if there is a connection between them and the message that we have received from the Alexander.
Captain, you don't seriously expect us to believe that the Alassi could threaten the Federation.
Those Cossacks couldn't threaten my grandmother.
It does seem inconsistent with what we know.
I'm still suspicious, Mr. Spock. Just call it human intuition.
Captain, I'm receiving a message from the station manager.
On screen.
Captain, I'm James Monroe, commander of Espoir Station. We witnessed your battle against the Alasi. They've bothered us a lot in the last few weeks. We're very grateful.
You mind if we come down and take a look at your station? Really? Then why haven't you filed reports with Starfleet? We've heard disturbing reports about your activities. We've come to take a look at your research. Do you mind if we come down and take a...
Espoir Station would be glad to greet a starship as famous as the Enterprise. We'll send coordinates and you may transport aboard at your convenience.
Disarming weapons.
Lowering shields, Captain.
The mission of Espoir Station is to study gravity's end, the only known proto-universe phenomenon in the galaxy.
Proto-universe phenomenon? I've heard a lot of things, Mr. Spock.
The proto-universe phenomenon, or proto-event, is a place where a big bang occurring in another universe deposits matter into ours. It is also noted for intense space-time distortions. The equipment on the station is highly advanced, but they appear to be of non-Federation design. There are areas protected by force fields which sensors cannot penetrate.
Could a rupture have occurred in this proto-event that would destroy this section of the galaxy?
That is possible. However, a rupture of that intensity would almost certainly have destroyed the Alexander. We do not have many facts, but those we have do not support that hypothesis.
Greetings, Dr. Monroe. I'm Captain Kirk.
Yes, it's been made clear who you are, Captain Kirk. Espoir Station is glad to meet you. In fact, we have something interesting to show you.
That may be why we're here. What the...
The modified tractor overload beam can be quite lethal, Captain. I suggest you surrender immediately or we will crack your ship like an egg.
Why are you doing this? You won't get away with this. How can a loyal Federation scientist do a thing like this? You won't get away with this.
Unfortunately for you, Kirk, I will get away with this.
Bradell.
Jim, isn't he that maniac who wanted revenge on you and...
I am the one who headed the Verdane program to build our improved versions of your starships. And despite the setback caused by your interference, I survived.
I thought you were killed when your pathetic imitation of the Enterprise was destroyed.
Fortunately, a cloaked Alasi frigate transported me before my bridge was destroyed. Fortunate for one of us, that is.
You intend to destroy the entire Federation? Is that the only thing you ever think of, Bradell? Revenge? Of course, Bradell, even surrounded by your goons. You're still too much of a coward to face me in person. You intend to
Guards, put them in the brig and let them rot.
Welcome to Espoir, Captain Kirk. I've been asked to make certain your stay is uncomfortable. What did you do to Dr. Bradell anyway?
11 years ago, as a lieutenant on the Farragut, I exposed his scheme to overthrow the Verdane Council. They dismissed him from their science council in disgrace. He's vowed revenge ever since.
That explains it. Never get involved in politics or get on the good doctor's bad side.
It doesn't sound like you care that much for Bradell.
Well, he's never been interested in winning popularity contests. By the way, the name's Shem. Manau Shem.
Captain, I estimate the odds of finding and destroying Bradell's doomsday weapon at 186 to 1.
That's better odds than usual.
I am factoring in your record at performing nearly impossible feats, Captain. Otherwise, the odds would be 8,552 to 1.
What would I do without your encouragement, Spock?
I cannot speculate, Captain.
You get no response.
What's on your mind, Captain?
Dr. McCoy, he's very sick. You wouldn't happen to be related to Vakata Sheen by any chance. Do you realize that you're working for a madman? You wouldn't happen to...
Yes. He was my father.
How's he doing?
He's dead. He tried to betray the Verdane Starship program to the Federation and was executed 9 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. I knew him when I was on Verdane. He was a good man.
Obviously someone felt differently. Since then, Dr. Bradell took me under his wing. I proved more able as a security officer than as a scientist.
Then you should know that Bradell is insane. Why don't you try coming inside for a moment? Let's see how tough a security officer you are. And what do you think of your father's death?
How do you think I felt?
I called him my friend. He had the courage of his beliefs. It must have been difficult having people constantly saying that you are a traitor's son. How many times did Burdell say that to you? Help us avenge his death. 10 years ago, he helped me expose him to the Bardane Council. He died because he was Burdell's enemy, not because he was a traitor. If I can expose Burdell's plans, then your father's name will be clear.
I have a duty, Captain. A responsibility to guard this station and its crew. If I do as you ask, I betray the man who killed my father, and also betray a lot of friends in station security who did nothing to him.
It's a difficult choice. Questions of morality are always difficult. Your friends are alive. Your father has no one except you. And how does Burdell treat your friends?
You have a point. I suppose I can let you go. I'll turn off the force field. Your weapons, communicators, and tricorders are stored in the lockers in this room. I'll try to convince security to turn against Burdell.
You remind me a lot of your father, Qo'noS.
Unfortunately, after this, I will remind everyone about my father. I've opened the lockers. Try not to kill anybody. Some of these people are my friends, although I suppose I may as well start using the past tense. I'll follow after you've used the turbo lift.
Phasers taken. Tricorders and medkit taken. Communicators taken. An atmospheric purifier. It is capable of removing contaminants from large quantities of air or water in less than a second. It carries the brand of the Save a Ship Manufacturing Corporation.
Now, why would you need an atmosphere purifier on a space station? The filters should be built into the life support system.
I suspect it could help someone with extreme allergies.
The filter is bulky but portable.
I detect what appears to be Andorian barbicide in this cabinet.
That's a rather powerful drug. I didn't realize the Bardane were into drug smuggling.
This could be a private matter, Captain. Also, the Alasi are known to smuggle this drug.
Jim, there is a legitimate use for barbicide in treating severe allergies. My God, it's not just an Antarian man-killer. You should see some of the generic engineering they've done to it. They've actually made it deadlier.
A formidable achievement in genetics, Doctor, given that the species is renowned throughout the galaxy as one of the most powerful and dangerous predators in known space.
There are reasons why the Federation monitors genetic research, and this thing is one of them.
A most deadly beast. Almost as deadly as some of the predators on Vulcan. The device appears to be involved in genetic research, Captain. It inserts mutagens into genes and monitors their progress. The device is empty.
I'll bet you'll find genetic residue that they use to add to our warm and cuddly friend over there.
This is the control for the special weapon that is holding the Enterprise. A force field prevents our access to the controls. Captain, my tricorder indicates that the force field controls can be neutralized in the station's security center.
Rather cramped living quarters. Only a small step up from Klingon ships.
No wonder the Klingons have such a bad temper.
We'd better be quiet. There's a gentleman on the bed who might quarrel with us if we wake him up.
No wonder he's not on duty. He's suffering from cervix toxemia. He must have spent some time on Rigel 8.
Think he'll get up?
He's under heavy medication, Jim, but with Verdane physiology, you can never tell. This will keep him unconscious. I can't cure him with a med kit. His infection is not easily treatable.
The dummies are not easy to carry, but you manage.
There they are! Get them! Fire!
Captain, I would place a high priority on finding a way to win over the security team.
The Verdane think they supersede mankind.
Mr. Shem indicated that the Verdane had little love for Burdell, Captain. I suspect their loyalty is less than absolute.
I hate when they do that. Jim, why does everyone not like me? Why does everyone keep shooting at me?
I don't know, Bones. I guess it's your cheerful nature and your stoic silence.
You're too late. I've set the computer on a continuous auto-diagnostic. You'll never be able to get it online.
I don't believe in the word never.
Captain, the computer is locked into an infinite loop. It will continue playing the game until it defeats itself. I can interrupt the moves and input my own.
Try rook to queen's level 3. That will threaten its bishop. Try knight to king level 1. That will shore up our defenses. Try queen to queen's level 2. Let's sacrifice our queen to take that knight. Try rook.
An excellent move.
Now let's push a pawn on king's level. That will force it into a more stable position. Now move your other rook to support it on queen's level. We should be able to threaten the queen or the bishop. Let's try something a little dangerous. Rook to king's level 2. Now move your other rook.
It seemed to be expecting something else, Captain. Its queen is vulnerable.
Let's not be too hasty. Advancing the bishop to support the rook will give us a solid advantage on the board. Let's confuse it with a sacrifice. It might be interesting to trade queens. Let's take the queen and see if it resigns.
A superb game, Captain. You have mated it. The diagnostic cycle has ended.
Excellent, Spock. Can you access the computer?
The main memory unit will not accept my attempts to access. I will need to find a more friendly interface with enough memory to hold the information. Captain, I am connecting the science tricorder to the central computer. We can use it to tap into the computer now that the diagnostic cycle is finished. We might use Dr. McCoy's tricorder as well. Captain, I am connecting the medical tricorder to the central computer. Success, Captain. I have access to Burdell's Project Big Bang files and to the access code for his personal quarters.
Jim, what's that smell?
Wanaka gas, a knockout gas with an extremely long effect.
We have mere seconds to neutralize it or get out of here. The air is being purified almost immediately. Ah, good old star-based filtered air. So dry it makes me want to drink a glass of water every 5 minutes.
I'm sure we can transport you into water if you really want some.
Damn transporters. If man were meant to fly around the universe, God would have allowed him to disassemble his own molecules.
We are ready to transport the dummies, Captain. That should prove an adequate distraction for us to get into security.
At least we have a chance now.
Captain, all areas of the ship except Bredell's quarters are accessible by transport. We have access without transport to all areas except security.
The dummies should provide a convincing decoy during transport and give us the edge we need. Set transport coordinates for security. Let's transport later. Set transport...
Deactivated the communications tracking systems, Captain.
Damn it, I'm a doctor, not a target.
I have lowered the force fields in the special project room. These security personnel have a reputation for effectiveness, Captain. I would not underestimate them.
You get no response.
I give you credit, Earther. You show extraordinary guile. Well played, Captain.
I'm not playing games. I'm trying to prevent Bredell from destroying the Federation. What's your name, mister? You're not so bad yourself. What are you doing, lowering yourself by working for a lunatic like Bredell?
Bredell pays me to guard the station. I am bound by my class code to obey him.
And suppose I provided evidence that he plans something that would result in the destruction of your planet.
Well then, according to the Vardane class code, I would be required to rebel. Show me the evidence and I'll cooperate, but I don't expect my guards to neglect their duties in the meantime.
I have copies of Bredell's files taken from the main computer. I believe you will find them to be authentic and of extreme interest.
The date on these files in the security code is from before you boarded. It appears you are telling the truth. This action will have consequences that are not in the best interest of the Vardane. I have no choice but to help you.
Captain Kirk, I have detained these men for you as Security Chief Command ordered.
In accordance with the Vardane military code, as one who has betrayed his charge, I must make a formal admission of treason for my new masters. When is the most convenient time to make the deposition?
Later.
How dare you come aboard the station and disturb our delicate work, you Starfleet brute!
And I thought Harry Mudd was annoying.
I am disabling their backups. It includes several systems that are not controlled from this station. I am disabling their communications network. We will now have a clear channel to the Enterprise. I am disabling their weapons control. I do not detect access to anything around the proto-event.
Don't hurt me! Please! And could someone do something for my allergies?
Middle-aged human male suffering from severe allergies. Hold still. That should help. And try to calm down. We're the good guys.
Surrender or die!
Wait, you're supposed to be on our side. Hasn't Commander Kament talked to you lately? Can I have 5 minutes to think about it? We surrender. Wait, you're supposed to be on our side.
He is a traitor. Our loyalty is to Dr. Bredell.
Great. Spock fired. Okay, we surrender.
Let's get their weapons.
Seven with one blow.
An exaggeration, Doctor.
Come on, you two. Spock, open the outer door. Spock, sabotage the system. Spock, open the outer door.
Captain, the door is open. Magnetic locks are keeping the transport in place, Captain.
Spock, close the outer door. Spock, sabotage the system.
The controls are no longer functioning, Captain.
Spock, remove the atmosphere. Spock, sabotage the system. Spock, remove the atmosphere.
The atmosphere has been pumped out. Magnetic locks are keeping the transport in place, Captain.
Spock, restore the atmosphere. Spock, sabotage the system.
The controls are no longer functioning, Captain.
Jim, look out!
Captain, I have deactivated the tractor beam. The Enterprise is now free. Here is the code, Captain.
Well, it appears all of those misspent years playing chess have finally been put to good use, Mr. Spock. We can now enter Burdell's quarters.
Misspent years, Captain?
Definitely, Spock. You could have been spending time studying or playing baseball with family and friends.
Vulcans do not play baseball, Doctor. Nor do many humans in this century.
Let's go. I want to have a few words with my old friend, Dr. Burdell.
So, you managed to elude our security. I'll have their heads.
It's over, Burdell. Surrender peacefully, and we'll guarantee you a fair trial.
I will not submit to a trial by a tribunal of chattering apes. We are the Vardane. Lesser species have no right to judge us.
Your experiment is over, Burdell. Morality transcends the differences in species, Burdell. You don't honestly think you can defy the three of us, do you, Burdell? Morality...
Morality. It is an invention designed to make lesser people feel superior. The universe is full of moral people, and for the most part they are dead wood. People who are preoccupied with morality never make history. You always did love to lecture, Kirk. You'll be the most self-righteous corpse in the galaxy.
It is logical that Burdell would wish for the controls for his experiment to be close at hand.
The Journal of E.S. Burdell.
I'll read it. According to this book, Burdell's secret code is 2162.
You pick up Burdell's journal, and a bookmark falls out.
This is unusual, Captain. I would not have expected a man like Burdell to rely on a paper record.
Who knows, Spock?
The bookmark is intricately decorated, not too dissimilar from a computer circuit pattern.
Captain, there's a number coded in base 64. The number is 2188.
A dartboard. A very good likeness of James T. Kirk is its chief decoration.
There is something hidden behind the dartboard, Captain. Some sort of electronics.
A trap?
I'm unable to tell, Captain.
The offending dartboard is removed, revealing a set of controls.
will need the correct code, Captain.
We've seen two possible codes, Mr. Spock. 2162, 2188, 2188.
I have activated the code circuit. The proto-event weapon is decloaking. I have also managed to deactivate the station's shields and have a clear communications channel to the Enterprise.
Broadcast the coordinates, Mr. Spock. Have the Enterprise destroy that weapon.
The coordinates have been sent.
Scotty, 3 to beam up. That has to be one of the most welcome explosions that anyone will ever see.
There is turmoil on the Vardane Council, Captain. The members who supported Burdell's anti-Federation policies have been forced to resign. I expect improved relations between the Federation and Vardane.
That's good to hear, though history shows that suppressed movements like Brettle's have a habit of resurfacing at inconvenient moments.
And Burdell is now a Federation prisoner. I hope this will not prove to be a rallying point for those Vardane who hate the Federation.
I've received word that Mr. Shem's application to enter Starfleet Academy has been accepted. He should make a fine officer one day.
Captain, I'm receiving a message from the USS Alexander.
The Alexander?
Temporal paradoxes are most fascinating, aren't they, Mr. Spock?
Are you attempting to annoy me, Doctor?
On screen.
Luke Rayner here. I know we've never met.
Yes, of course.
We got your signal, and Starfleet has asked us to assist in cleaning up your operation.
It's good to have you with us. Better than you could possibly guess.
I don't understand, Captain.
It's a long story. Come aboard, and I'll tell it to you.
I reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.
Aye, Captain, I'm looking forward to taking leave on Nova Atar. The museum there is supposed to be quite excellent. Lots of antique and one-of-a-kind machinery.
Commander, are you certain it's not the Kazakhstanian cognac you're looking forward to?
Do they make that there, laddie? I don't know.
Why, Mr. Scott, I'm surprised at you, not knowing the location of a famous distillery.
We invented that brandy, you know.
Right.
Of course you did.
No, really. We did.
No one would ever doubt you, Ensign, however...
Sorry to interrupt, Captain, but we have an emergency call from the science vessel Demeter. She's in orbit around Balcos 3.
On screen.
Captain Kirk, good to see you're in the area.
You have an emergency, Commander Gelman?
Well, I'm not sure, actually. Maybe more of a case of better safe than sorry. We're orbiting Balcos 3 to study the Balcosi, a race of people just entering their own Stone Age. We've only been here 2 days. Already we've found some unusual data. But just a few minutes ago, during the deep geologic probing phase, we were suddenly scanned.
Scanned? I thought the Balcosi were just developing.
They are, Captain. And there haven't been any indications of old civilizations until now. The scan was also of extreme power. Following that, we detected a power source coming online. We'll send the coordinates along with all the other information we've gathered. I was a little concerned that we triggered an old defense mechanism. With the amount of information it pulled in its scan, we'd be an easy target. I've moved the Demeter to a higher orbit on the far side of the planet.
Quite reasonable, Commander. We're on our way.
Thank you, Captain.
Kirk out.
Approaching Balcos 3, Captain.
Entering standard orbit.
I have the coordinates for the power source that Demeter detected.
Spock, come with me. Scotty, you have the con, Lieutenant. Ask Dr. McCoy to meet us in the transporter room.
Yes, Captain?
What the devil was that? An attack?
While I cannot guarantee a lack of physical change, Doctor, we seem to be unharmed. I therefore conclude we have been scammed.
Captain, are you all right? Sensors detected a burst of power followed by some sort of powerful transmission.
According to Spock, we're in perfect health, Scotty.
According to Spock?
Never mind, Mr. Scott. Can you track the transmission to its destination?
I'll give it a try, Captain, but it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
It never is, Mr. Scott. It never is. Kirk out.
I guess you were right, Spock. Here I thought we were dead for a second.
Doctor, that would have made conversation quite difficult.
I was making a joke, Spock.
Were you, Doctor?
Gentlemen, I believe we have some business at hand.
This place looks like Spock's dream world, doesn't it, Jim?
In what way, Bones?
No decorations, no life, nothing but machinery. Not even a picture of his mother on the wall.
A picture of my mother here would be most surprising. However, if you are suggesting that construction was performed in an efficient manner, I would agree with your most logical conclusion.
Remind me to check my blood for green tinges when we get back to the ship, Jim.
You know, I've got the feeling this is bigger than it looks, and I don't mean just more space beyond this door.
I cannot get an accurate reading, Captain, due to a force field. However, it appears to be a transmitter. Nothing unusual about that object, Captain. It is an unknown piece of equipment inside an energy field. The energy field around this scanning device prevents a detailed examination. This star is made from native minerals and shows a propensity to emit low-level light. It shows a high degree of machining, Captain. The mineral compounds in the star are not native to the surrounding regions, which indicates that it has been imported.
How can you be sure, Spock?
It is extremely similar to synthetic corn blue sapphire.
Oh.
While alien in design, fairly obviously the control panel to the door.
Quite simple, considering the appearance of the other machinery here. All that was needed was a power interrupt. The doors will only stay closed while power is on. Interesting. Captain, this appears to be a distributive optic node.
If you say so, Mr. Spock.
This unit is manufacturing electrochemical energy storage devices in an inert state.
In English, Spock?
That was English, Captain.
I think he means uncharged batteries, Jim.
This unit is manufacturing miniature broadcast circuitry. This machine seems to be controlling the manufacturing units.
A high-pressure device for joining two objects.
Fascinating, Captain. Yet another grouping of shapes. Note the one on the floor and the side of the manufacturing unit. I do not understand their significance yet, but the builders seem to have some obsession with identifying each room with a symbol and placing it repeatedly within each room. The bin contains small plastic discs, Captain. The plastic is essentially inert in this form. However, if placed under pressure, it will become a superconductor capable of storing significant energy compared to its size. It will break down over time. That is why it is commonly stored in this state.
Probably should hang on to a few, don't you think?
A logical choice. Captain, these items appear to be configured to produce a small energy field of some sort. They do not appear to be powered at this time.
Why don't you see what you can do with them, Spock?
That would seem to be a logical thing to do. I will take enough for all of us.
Spock, is that a switch?
Yes, a fairly simple switching device, Captain.
Spock, any idea what this box is?
The cube contains control circuitry. I suggest we keep it.
Spock, what do you make of these?
This appears to be a set of interface cables.
We got hit with a power surge. It's interfering with sensors and we might have some trouble locking onto you.
Well, if we intend on taking our shore leave with the rest of the crew, we'd better find out what's causing that power surge. Spock, what kind of interface is this?
A bridge unit for use between function control and display circuitry, Captain. It could be helpful to have.
Spock, what do you make of the screen?
This is a computer display module, Captain. This is a very specialized pressure device, Captain. These badges go into this hopper and will be combined under pressure with an item placed in the other hopper.
Well, I think it looks like a button maker. Can it make me a badge that says if man was meant to transport, his atoms would already be scattered?
Possibly, Doctor. But after pressure application, it would be unlikely you would be capable of reading much.
You're not a lot of fun, Spock.
I did not realize that was part of my job requirement, Doctor. Is it part of yours?
At times like this, yes.
The badges have been placed into the hopper, Captain. The batteries have been placed into the device.
You know, it does look a little like a button maker.
Whew. What is that smell?
There was a chemical change due to the pressure. That is simply a small amount of outgassing from the plastic. Readings indicate that this is connected to a rather sophisticated projection system. I cannot get more detailed data. An energy field is interfering with the tricorder. This device transforms its internal energy into useful quantities for other portable devices. The transfer takes place at the small outlet junction located near the center of the unit.
So what is that in English, you pointed-eared confusion factory?
In English, it remains exactly as I said. However, for those unskilled in the language, this is a battery charger.
For once, why can't you just come up with a simple explanation first?
It's not always necessary, Doctor. You are not always around.
What is it with you two? You're like children. I'm getting tired of it. Why am I snapping at you?
The badges change color.
I believe the units are now fully operational.
Hopefully these badges will help us with some of these force fields. We should each keep one of them with us while we're here.
This is a computer control panel, Captain. It appears to have some control over other parts of the compound. I was examining that computer, Captain. Very interesting. The computer has an exceedingly large display screen. There are several conclusions.
What conclusions, Spock?
1. The individuals for whom this equipment was built have substandard vision. 2. The users have quite long arms or manipulative extremities and have to work a considerable distance away from the console and screen. 3. The large screen and lack of anything else in the room could mean it was expected that more than one individual would be viewing the display.
Computer, are you on? Maybe I'm not the man for this particular job.
I bet if I could find a popcorn dispenser, this thing would show us a movie.
This console is non-operational, Captain. However, I do believe the repair would be a simple matter given the right materials. There are essentially no controls or displays available at this time. The computer is now functional. Fascinating. There's only a limited amount of control available on this console. I believe there are other functions it controls, but these functions cannot be accessed.
I'm not sure I understand, Spock.
Nor I, Captain. What purpose would be served by limiting access?
What purpose indeed? Bones, any ideas?
Why are you asking me? Is this some kind of pop quiz?
2 other things, Captain. There is a reference in the limited readout which leads me to believe there are other complexes on the planet somehow connected with this one. Location and function are not specified or available.
That's only one, Spock.
True, Captain. I was just waiting to see if you had any comments.
Not that I'd like to share at this moment, Mr. Spock, please.
There is one other repair that is possible. One device can be controlled from this console if its command circuit is replaced. I will not be able to determine what device that is until the replacement circuit is installed. It is now possible for me to shut down a force field at some other location. I do not know where or what the force field protects.
Yes, I'm getting tired of force fields. One less will be a pleasure no matter what it does. No, let's look around a bit more first. Yes, I'm getting tired of force fields.
Captain, my attempt to turn off the force field has triggered some sort of computer activity. It is requesting that I allow some sort of display to occur on the screen. Shall I allow it?
I don't know if that's a good idea. Let's wait. By all means, Spock. Curiosity may kill cats, but I'm hoping humans will fare a little better.
That's comforting, Jim.
It appears we have chosen correctly, Captain. The controls indicate that the force field has been dropped. Fascinating. This device siphons material from the other unit by way of the pipe overhead. It possesses the ability to move a substantial amount of material. Most interesting is that the material can be jettisoned up out of these caves into the ecosystem of the planet. It may be that the material in the vat is dangerous, and the builders wished to protect this complex from contamination.
But they didn't care about the planet, did they?
Apparently not the primary concern.
Tell that to the Balcosi.
According to the studies from the Demeter, the Balcosi would not recognize speech.
I believe Bones was speaking figuratively, Spock.
There is presently no means by which to shut off this release. The unit is set to discharge, and the control switch has been removed.
Removed? Could it be the builders were not afraid the complex would be contaminated, but were instead afraid the ecosystem would be in trouble if the contents of the vat were not discharged?
Interesting hypothesis, Captain. Difficult to do more than speculate at this time.
A high-protein bacteria mixed with some sort of pheromone-style compound. I don't know what effects the pheromone would have on our physiology. I would need to take a sample back to the lab on the Enterprise to conduct a study. Now this is more like it, a medical examination table. I'd know one of these even if it is made for an alien.
Captain, given the nature of the electronics inside, I can deduce that it is a synthesizer replicator unit. However, it is unlike anything used by the Federation. I am unable to determine its exact capabilities.
Jim, I'm picking up traces of cells from a Balcosian. There are also traces of some designer cells. It looks like someone is playing a dangerous game with the Balcosi.
Well, maybe we'll see a Balcosian here.
Internal structure hidden by force field effects. The uncovered areas consist of a pair of unknown vents and a solid inclined drop chute. Extremely simple, high-protein food.
They look peaceful enough, Jim.
We should be able to gain valuable data studying the Balcosi. Captain, I will attempt to restrain the Balcosian when he stops to eat. The nerve bundle seemed quite thick. My assumption is that the Balcosian is unharmed, but will remain unconscious for a considerable time.
Jim, I'd like to take him to the medical examination room next door. I want to know what that gas is doing to him.
Not a bad idea, Bones.
My God, look at these readings. Everything's elevated. Small wonder that the Balcosi are in turmoil. Every aggression-related hormone in this guy's body is working overtime.
What's causing it, Bones?
That little hiss of air was loaded with pheromones, Jim. The creature inhaled them and immediately went into overload.
This must happen at random intervals when they collect the food.
I hate to sound like Spock, but there's more, and it's pretty fascinating. Also horrifying. The pheromone is perfectly tuned to the Balcosian physiology. It's like somebody genetically engineered both.
Didn't the Demeter report say there weren't enough records showing the Balcosian presence on the planet? Could they have been put here on purpose?
It is possible we have stumbled in on an experiment, Captain.
With the subjects being treated like rats, it's criminal, Jim. These can be thinking beings.
I'm not certain it is the Balcosi that are the subjects, Bone. I think it is us.
Interesting hypothesis, Captain. What is your supporting data?
It's the way all of this is set up, Spock. I can't put my finger on it, but it just feels so set up. We keep finding out just enough to make choices. The real question is who? Who's doing this to us?
And to what purpose, Captain? Why?
Why indeed, Spock. Why indeed.
This thing is just full of that pheromone, Jim. We have to be careful. It could ruin the entire planet for the Balcosi. We would condemn them to a world filled with brutal violence. It would be genocide.
There is little that can be done unless the unit is repaired. Assuming the appropriate signal is received, this unit can be shut down safely. The shutdown signal does not originate here. It is a powerful transmitter, unlike anything in Starfleet records. It appears to be a detection device. Judging by the complexity of its circuitry, I would gather that it is quite sensitive. It is a scanner with both long-range and detailed capabilities. The energy generated from inside this unit is definitely causing the problems in communicating with the Enterprise. It will undoubtedly block any attempt at transporter lock-on also. Captain, this appears to be a mass storage device. The tricorder cannot tell what information it holds. An interesting place, Captain. There seems to be a reason for it beyond the obvious.
I just keep asking myself, who's behind all this?
Captain, there's a small display active. It appears that this device is a memory unit, an archive. Most amazing. The information is in volatile memory. If power were lost to this device, all information contained within would be lost. An odd way to create an archive.
What is in the archive?
The displays indicate it contains a vast amount of data on three-dimensional projection. Circuitry diagrams, equipment construction techniques. Essentially, everything needed to project lifelike images in great detail inside of a structure. Starfleet does not have this level of technology. This would be a major find for the Federation.
Then I'd think that gathering that data would be a very good thing to do, Mr. Spock.
Very well, Captain. Captain, the display indicates that the best view of the projection will be from the south side of the room.
Well, gentlemen?
Anyone got popcorn?
Bones. Impressive, Spock.
Captain, I'm not responsible for that occurrence. However, I did discover that accessing the memory will not only trigger the shutdown of this unit, it will also send a signal to another device, most likely one somewhere in this complex. Damaging the unit will also initiate shutdown and signal transmission.
There's no way around it?
None, Captain.
What is this, some kind of idiotic test? Don't fool with that, Spock. You'll poison this planet and make these inhabitants permanently aggressive.
Doctor, you do not know for certain that whoever placed the Balcosi here did not intend for that to happen. The aggressiveness may be what they need to develop further. And the information in the archive is a reward for sending the Balcosi into the next stage of their development.
You just want to get your Vulcan fingers on that precious scientific information. More like 30 pieces of silver for condemning the Balcosi to the lives of violence. Jim, you can't let this unfeeling monster do this to the Balcosi.
Do you wish me to continue attempting to access the archive, Captain?
Yes, Spock. That information could be critical to the Federation. Let's hold off until we get a little more information.
This generator may be providing power for more than just this complex. It is broadcasting power, which is causing the interference in communications with the Enterprise. I cannot tell for certain if there are receiving units for this power, because some of the readout circuits are damaged. Fascinating.
What is fascinating this time, Spock? I doubt it's fascinating to either Bones or myself, but I'm sure that won't stop you from telling us.
You tell him, Jim. I'm getting sick of this alien smarter-than-thou attitude.
If either of you had an ounce of logic, you would be more prepared to listen to my information, and possibly even understand it.
Bordering on insubordination, aren't we, Mr. Spock?
I always knew that no emotion garbage was just a cover. He thinks he should be in charge.
Mr. Spock, I'll have those findings from you right now.
Captain, it appears the circuit was deliberately damaged. This would only be possible if the force field were down. Who would damage their own machinery? And for what purpose?
More and more curious, Mr. Spock.
Also, Captain, I am able to determine that if power is interrupted rather than shut down from this console, it will send a signal to that effect. The signal will trigger some other event. I do not know what the event will be. The readout is now fully functional. There are other locations on this planet receiving power from this generator. Most peculiar. The locations of these units are not in the database.
And you think they should be?
It would be logical, Captain. But removing the circuit that controls the on and off functions of this device would also be illogical.
Are you trying to tell me that's what happened here?
Exactly, Captain. Until that repair is made, it would be impossible to execute a proper shutdown procedure.
Readings slightly elevated.
You seem healthy. Wonder why it's doing that.
The repair is complete, Captain. It would now be possible to safely shut this machine down. However, doing so would certainly affect all the other equipment in this complex. Captain, do you wish me to start the shutdown sequence on the generator?
Let's hold off on that for now, Spock. Shut it down, Spock.
Well, that ends that threat. Balcosi can rest peacefully tonight and from now on.
It is still a trying time in their development, Doctor.
Think of it as an adventure, Spock. Scotty, 3 to beam up.
Captain, the power source has completed its shutdown cycle. There is no trace of the bacteria or pheromone in the atmosphere. It would appear the Balcosi are free to choose their own future.
Good to hear, Spock. I know losing a find like that archive has to hurt.
That would be an emotional response.
Of course it would. How silly of me.
Captain, there are 2 signals being broadcast from the planet. The first is another burst following the same path as the original broadcast. The other signal emanates from nearby the first. It's aimed at us, Captain. Message from Starfleet, Captain.
On screen, Lieutenant.
Interesting report, Jim. I think you were right to release the Balcosi from outside influence. Too bad you couldn't retrieve the archive. No one at Starfleet has any idea who was behind all this, or what the testing message was all about. Keep us informed as you find out more. I've got confidence in you, Jim.
I reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.
Captain's log, stardate 6236.5. Following our mission to Balcos, the Enterprise is proceeding to Omega Corvus to probe radiation clouds. We are expecting an uneventful mission.
Message from Starfleet Command.
On screen.
This is a Code 2 emergency, Captain. 3 Federation ships have vanished in the Delphi system within the last month. 3 days ago, we lost contact with the USS Zimbabwe. You are to go to the Delphi system and find out what's happened to our ships. Starfleet out.
The Delphi system is not far from Romulan space.
Let's not make any accusations without proof, Mr. Spock.
I make no accusations, Captain. I am simply pointing out relevant information based on the most logical hypothesis available. I would not recommend drawing a definite conclusion from it.
Captain, at our current speed of warp 7, I expect to enter the Delphi system in 8 minutes.
Captain, I just started getting the oddest noise on all channels. It sounds like some sort of insect drone.
Let's hear it, Lieutenant.
An object is approaching the Enterprise.
Unscrew.
Arming weapons.
Mr. Spock, is that what I think it is?
Sensors indicate that it is an authentic Earth warplane, circa 1917, belonging to the nation of Germany. Its appearance is identical to a Fokker DR-1. Sensors also indicate an immense power source and one life form.
We are being hailed.
This is Baron Trelane von Gothas of the German Air Circus. I have identified you as an enemy aircraft. You have 10 seconds to surrender before I blow you out of the sky.
Trelane, but I thought we'd seen the last of you. Stop playing games, Trelane. Leave my ship alone. We surrender. Trelane, triplanes didn't have radios during the First World War.
Captain Kirk, that is not the way for mortal enemies to greet each other on the field of battle. Of course you hadn't seen the last of me. I am Trelane, the humble Baron of Gothas.
Humility is not something that I would associate with you, Trelane. I suppose we're going to get another tantrum from a runaway child with too much power for his own good. Mortal enemies. When are you going to grow up, Trelane?
Not for several millennia, I'm afraid. Of course, the Baron von Gothas does not have to aspire to such lofty heights to defeat his latest victim.
You were responsible for what happened to the Zimbabwe? We'll see who the victim will be, Trelane. No matter how powerful you are, your arrogance and your immaturity will always be your downfall. Why don't you aspire to lofty heights and leave us alone?
And miss the opportunity to settle an old score? Captain Kirk, didn't anyone ever teach you about diplomacy or manners? There are times when I really question your breeding.
Sensors indicate he is closing on us. I would extrapolate that he intends to fire at us.
Raise shields, evasive maneuvers.
Raising shields. Target analysis on.
Don't celebrate too soon, Mr. Chekhov. Trelane is like a bad penny. He keeps turning up where he's not wanted.
The triplane has reformed.
It is hailing us again, sir.
Kirk, you cheated! You cheated!
I beat you fair and square, Trelane. Now leave my ship alone. Don't be such a poor loser, Trelane. Your quarrel is with me, Trelane, not my ship. If you're going to punish anyone, punish me. I beat you fair and square, Trelane. Now leave my ship alone.
No, Kirk, you cheated! And you're going to have to be punished. Your insolent ship will have to be punished as well. But only you will bear the full brunt of my revenge.
Leave my ship out of this, Trelane.
Are you trying to give orders to the Baron of Godless, Kirk? You should go to my dungeon for that. You and a few others of my choosing.
We have been unconscious for a considerable length of time, Captain. This is Lieutenant Commander Ellis, First Officer and Security Chief of the USS Zimbabwe.
Hello, Mr. Ellis. Where is your captain?
He was in sickbay at the time that triplane attacked us. I don't know what's going on.
What is going on, Commander, is a gentleman named Trelane, an immature child of a race with vast powers. Somehow he acquired an unhealthy fascination with human military history. Last time we encountered him, he had an interest in the Napoleonic era.
It would appear, Captain, that his awareness of human history has advanced to the level of your First World War.
If it advances any further.
Not only do we need to escape this place, but we need to find a way to discourage Trelane's interest in war once and for all.
How did you escape from him last time, Captain?
His parents appeared and punished him. I doubt that we can rely on such an intervention a second time.
The communicators are functioning, Captain. If there were other Federation personnel on this planet, we would be able to communicate with them.
Provided their communicators haven't been confiscated or the persons are in any physical condition to answer.
I did not wish to state the obvious, Doctor.
Ha!
It would appear to be an ordinary crate, Captain.
Of course it's a crate. It looks like a crate, feels like a crate. What else could it be?
Doctor, we are dealing with an entity who is capable of sustaining an artificial atmosphere on a planet and then flying that planet around the universe like a starship.
Spock's right, Bones. When we're dealing with Trelane, we need all the information that we can get. Something that looks trivial might be the key to defeating him and saving the Enterprise.
And the Zimbabwe.
You pick up a stick.
Well, I thought I could start a fire and try to get someone's attention, but I guess the straw is too damp. It's not firing.
The phasers have been completely drained of energy.
Courtesy of our charming host, no doubt?
No doubt. Well, gentlemen, if we're going to beat Trelane, we'll have to beat him on his own terms.
This light bulb is an anachronism. Although its light output is typical of period lighting sources, it is far more energy efficient and encased in shatterproof glass.
Trelane was never very good at getting the fine details right.
A correct observation, Doctor.
The crate is open. It is full of bottles of Himrich schnapps. The date on the bottle says 1913. You have taken several bottles of schnapps.
No thanks. We'll need all of our wits if we are to defeat Trelane.
You cover the straw with schnapps.
What's going on here? We should leave this building immediately. The proximity of this fire to a large concentration of alcohol puts us at considerable risk.
Do you think the Baron cares if you burn to death?
Who is this Baron? Trelane? Don't be a fool, man. If you keep us in here, you'll die too. It depends on whether he likes his prisoners rare, medium, or well done. Don't be a fool, man. If you keep...
You have a point, Kirk. Go! I will be following.
Our soldier friend seems to have gotten separated from us. I heard some windows breaking on the other side of the building. I assume that was him.
The building is structurally sound, Captain. I doubt that it would collapse, but as a precaution, I would not enter it again.
But where are we, Mr. Spock?
Isn't it obvious? In trouble.
Do you have a problem, Mr. Ellis?
Yes, sir, I have a problem. His name was...
The Baron does not appreciate vagrants.
Why that?
Do not interfere, or the same thing will happen to you.
How would you like to pick on someone your own size? What has this man done? You're really a tough guy, aren't you? It can't be easy to bully some old man. I'm really impressed.
Be quiet!
I've never been very good at being quiet.
Having fun, Jim? A human, approximately 60 years of age, in poor physical condition. His hip is broken, Jim. He needs our help. That should fix the hip problem. He should rest. Thank goodness Trelane didn't take the tranquilizers from my med kit. He'd probably be too tired to talk much.
Thank you for helping me. If only I had something to repay you.
You could tell us where we are.
You are the American pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Kirk, the leader of the famous Enterprise Squadron.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Jimmy?
Enterprise Squadron?
I suppose I should tell you nothing, but as it looks as though the war will soon be over, I can tell you that this is the village of Qo'noS.
What war is this?
The Great War. The one that has lasted for 4 damned years and has killed millions. I never thought that it was possible for so many young people to die for such a worthless cause.
I believe he refers to the first of your world wars.
Could you answer an important question for me, sir? What year is this? Where's Trelane? What else is happening?
It is rumored that our forces are mutinying, and that our ambassadors have met with Mr. Wilson to discuss an armistice, but that Mr. Wilson will not negotiate with anyone except an elected government. Baron Trelane has retired to his castle and sees no one. His men are nothing more than bullies.
All right, Commander, you were about to tell us why you're being so hostile. Let's hear your story.
Does the name Lieutenant Ralph Garvin sound familiar to you? He was my roommate at the academy and was killed by some blood-sucking cloud while on a landing party under your command.
Space is not the safest of environments. I've always done my best to protect my crew, and I've always honored anyone who has lost their life under my command.
The Enterprise is routinely assigned to unknown and extremely dangerous sectors.
I have always made it a policy to lead landing parties and share the risk with my men. I suppose you've never lost someone under your command, Commander. You've never felt the loss of a subordinate while you've been on a landing party. When you become a captain of a starship, you'll have every right to judgment. We're in the middle of a life-and-death situation. I expect you to act like a Starfleet officer. I have always made it a policy.
Captain, if I see you do anything that puts us or our escape at risk, you'll regret it.
I'm not interested in vendettas. I'm interested in survival. If you have a problem with me, you can wait until everyone's safe. Is that clear, Commander?
Yes, sir.
This strikes me as something of a Potemkin village, Captain. It lacks the scope to be truly real.
A creation of Trelane's, no doubt. One of his imitations of reality.
Undoubtedly, Captain, there is a high probability that it will be an extremely deadly place. My tricorder detects an incredibly strong power source within that shop. I recommend that we enter it immediately and examine it at close range.
Charming place. Less technology, more humanity. I like it.
Somewhere in the middle of this European charm is Trelane and the missing ships. Let's find it.
Captain, these items are not typical of what would be available in a German shop in the 20th century. I would theorize that Trelane has set this up for a reason.
Could he be testing us? I've read many reports of superior intelligences testing human beings.
Trelane does not qualify as superior intelligence, Mr. Ellis. He's not testing us. He's playing with us. And I'm rather tired of his games.
I guess we're getting shore leave a little early. Sort of.
This looks safe. I don't think anyone is going to die here. Do you agree, Captain?
One never knows, Mr. Ellis. Don't push your luck, Mr. Ellis. I don't know. Foot and mouth disease can strike anyone, anywhere, and it can be fatal.
Yes, sir.
Here we are in the early 20th century, living in history. It's a shame that this is only a cheap sham by Trelane. I could get to like this place.
The power contained within one of the clocks is off the scale, Captain. It matches with the sensor readings I took of Trelane's triplane on the Enterprise.
Theories, Mr. Spock.
Captain, the last time we encountered Trelane, he used various items, in particular, a machine hidden behind a mirror as a source for his power. This clock is another one of Trelane's power objects.
And if we could find and destroy enough of Trelane's power,
the village of Gothos would come apart, and we might find out what happened to the Enterprise.
Mr. Spock, continue scanning for power sources.
Hi, can I help you?
What do you want for that broom? I see you're selling food packages. Is that a coil of rope over on the wall? What do you want for those shoes? That really is a beautiful clock. Can you tell me how to make money around here? What do you want for that broom?
That old thing. I can give it to you now. You can pay me later. I'm sure my boss, Mr. Uland, won't mind. Hi, can I help you?
Is that a coil of... I see you're selling food packages.
You look hungry. Sure, have it. Pay me later. Hi, can I help you?
Is that a coil of rope over on the wall?
That rope? No one ever buys rope. Go ahead and take it. Hi, can I help you?
What do you want for those shoes?
I'm sorry, but those shoes have already been paid for. Hi, can I help you?
What do you want for those? That really is a beautiful clock.
It sure is. I can let you have it. Pay me later. Or maybe not. Mr. Uland wouldn't like me to give away something that expensive on a promise. Hi, can I help you?
What do you want? Can you tell me how to make money around here?
Sure, have some money. Oh, I don't have any. I wonder why.
I would not get near that dog if I were you, Jim. It's suffering from rabies.
You get no response.
Just think of it, Captain. Only one security officer for you on this mission. It must be unusual to have so little protection.
Don't try to provoke me, mister. You may regret it. Do you always say things that are unbecoming a Starfleet officer? I don't know. It seems like I'm carrying excess baggage on this mission.
I don't know what you mean, sir.
Where's the hospital? Even when they heal, they butcher people.
Doctor, your criticisms of this era's medical technology are illogical. They did not have the tools to perform surgery without cutting open their patients. Perhaps one day, our medical practices will seem primitive compared to the standards of a future generation.
Terran dog suffering from hydrophobia.
Can you cure it, Bones?
If I can cure Vulcans, I can cure dogs. I need to find some way of getting close to it.
The tricorder confirms it is a dog, Canis familiaris, a Doberman pinscher to be exact. They were bred in the town of Apolda in ancient Germany in the year 1890 by a watchman named Louis Doberman, who trained the breed to assist in his guard duties. Its forebears are...
Enough, Spock. The pointy ears make people talk too much.
Poor thing. I had a pet named Sasha once, a Zerbian husky. The thing shed like crazy. Starfleet didn't assign me for unnecessary violence against animals. We need to find a way to cure it, not hurt it.
Your point is made, Mr. Ellis.
The dog is now hungrily eating its meal.
Another satisfied patient.
What is it, Gringold? Ah, visitors.
An ordinary house cat, Felis catus, a common human pet. The first records of domesticated cats are from ancient Egypt, where they reduced the rat population in the grain fields, and were also used as hunting animals to retrieve small birds.
Spock, has anyone ever told you that ignorance is bliss?
His name is Glingold, Captain Spock.
Several objects of sentimental value line the mantelpiece. Cherished possessions that have been gathered over the course of a lifetime, admired by friends and family that are now dead. A one-armed gentleman sitting on a sofa.
What can I do for you, Colonel?
What can you tell me about the war? I noticed that you have only one. What can you tell me about Trelane? Where can I go to earn some money? What can you tell me about...
We are a nation of warriors, Colonel. Like your America, we were born in war. We believe that military might gives men the right to take what they want.
What about diplomacy?
I wish we understood it better, Colonel. The pieces of paper that our diplomats sign have too little meaning. If we paid more attention, we could have prevented this latest mad conflict. I lost my grandson at the Marne. What can I do for you, Colonel?
What can you tell me? I noticed that you have only one.
I lost my arm in the last war, January 8, 1871, during the siege of Paris during Bismarck's war with France, shortly before Germany's glorious victory. It still didn't bring my arm back. What can I do for you, Colonel?
What? I know. What can you tell me about Trelane?
Ah, yes, the glorious Baron. I'm a lonely soldier, retired and alone, except for Glingold. I don't think I can tell you anything about him. What can I do for you, Colonel?
What? Where can I go to earn some money?
I might be able to give you some money, Colonel, if I could think of something useful that you could do for me. Thank you, Colonel. You Americans are very helpful. It's a pity we're at war with you. But wars always end, and today's enemy often becomes tomorrow's friend. Unfortunately, the reverse is often true. Here, it's not much, but money has its uses.
Thank you. Perhaps you might be able to use a broom around here.
Why, thank you, Colonel. What did you do? My rheumatism is much better.
Nothing, Herr Eckhart. I'm just a simple country doctor.
The gramophone is not functioning. It would appear to be a trivial malfunction.
Do not concern yourself with it, Captain Spock. Glingold does not like loud noises.
And remember, democracy is weak.
It relies on the votes of the foolish masses who are incapable of choosing strong leaders. Constitutional government fosters weakness. The rejection of republicanism is what won the last war for Germany, and it will bring us victory over these stupid Americans.
That's not what they told us at the Academy.
Captain, another abnormally high reading emanating from the chalkboard.
And I thought 20th century hospitals were grim.
And yet the very best people who taught in a place like this had the power to uplift people's lives, to teach them knowledge, principles, and self-awareness. This was a battlefield where millions of unknown soldiers of knowledge fought to elevate humanity from barbarism.
Captain Hauptmann looks like he'll fit right into German society in 20 years.
Boys and girls, let me introduce you to an example of inferior Republican stock. Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Kirk. Tell us, Kirk, how can you defend the ludicrous American system?
I see no reason to defend anything, Captain. These children are, in spite of your efforts to indoctrinate them, quite capable of growing up to become adults who will make up their own minds. I am not interested in a debate, Hauptmann. If your system is so superior to America's, how come you're losing the war? Why don't we put it up to a vote? You have a choice between a system that gives you leaders who will oppress you for life, or a system which, imperfect though it may be, allows you to influence your leaders and gives you a chance to bring them to account. All in favor of Hauptmann's system, say aye.
Aye!
All in favor of my system, say aye.
Aye!
It appears that they don't want what you offer them, Hauptmann.
I will not tolerate such insults. The Baron will make you all pay.
Jim, wasn't that a violation of the Prime Directive?
Dr. McCoy, this is clearly an imaginary culture with no real existence. The Prime Directive cannot be reasonably extrapolated to affect such a culture.
Hi. Ingrid is very shy, Colonel.
Are all Americans as handsome as you, Colonel Kirk?
Why, Bones, you're never at a loss for words. You answer.
Lieutenant Colonel Kirk, when I grow up, will you teach me how to fly as good as you?
Well,
I guess we're ready to ship you to the Academy, Jim.
Wow! A real American pilot! Can I shoot you as an escaped prisoner?
No.
Frau Humperdinck, Colonel Kirk wanted to shoot him! Is that fair?
Herr Kirk, can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. What do you think about the war? What can you tell me about Trelane? These children are something, aren't they? I didn't realize they let mad dogs teach children. You know, I've heard that chalkboards can be very dangerous to children. The chalk is very bad for the lungs. Maybe I should remove it. What do you think about that?
It's horrible. With any luck, my students won't have to fight in such a war when they get older. Herr Kirk, can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. What can you tell me about...
Ah, the Baron. Such a charming man. If all the military and Gothos were like him, it would be a better place to live. Herr Kirk, can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. These children are something, aren't they?
They are a little rambunctious, aren't they? Herr Kirk, can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. I didn't realize they let mad...
He's a rather enthusiastic officer. Herr Kirk, can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. You know, I've heard that
You want to remove my chalkboard? Nein, absolutely not. I wouldn't consider it unless you gave me a letter from the superintendent telling me to do this.
German World War I Army rifle, Captain. There are no unusual readings from it.
There don't have to be.
Indeed, Doctor. By this period, firearms were extremely efficient and deadly. The tricorder scan indicates that the safe contains trinitrotoluene, commonly referred to as TNT.
I suppose it might be an asset. Can you get it?
My tricorder indicates the lock is atypical for the period. I would require the exact combination.
A drink from you? If you believed that we would drink your drug schnapps, you are insane. I would have shot you on sight, Lieutenant Colonel Kirk. You owe your life to Baron Trelane's kindness.
I'll try to remember to thank him when I see him. Why don't you tell your so-called Baron to stop playing games and come out of the castle and face me? Kindness? Trelane? Are we talking about the same man?
Your insults are meaningless, Colonel. The Baron is a civilized man. How else can you explain the fact that you are not dead?
The Baron is an immature, power-crazed child who has kept us alive to entertain himself by subjecting us to sadistic reproduction of one of Earth's bloodiest wars.
If I weren't civilized, I would kill you for such an insult.
You call yourself civilized?
Get out!
I can't believe the trench would be so close to the town.
It shouldn't be. At this point in the war, the Allies had broken through the trenches. That's why Germany surrendered. Their defenses were crumbling, and they didn't want to see their cities destroyed.
Only one of many illogical situations, Commander. The building where we were imprisoned almost burned to the ground. But no other building was touched, and no one seemed concerned about the fire.
What else?
The fact that everyone seems to recognize us, yet the military does not try to intercept us. The building signs in English instead of German. There is much here that is not what it seems. This battlefield does not truly represent the misery that was your First World War. A single soldier where there would be dozens. Dirt where there should be mud. Trelane is not providing an accurate depiction of this war, Captain.
At least we have one thing to thank him for, Mr. Spock. Think of it. Millions of young kids enthusiastically signing up for a war without purpose, dying without reason, by the orders of commanders who don't care. It's too bad that things haven't changed much in the last 400 years. Kids still die meaningless deaths for commanders who don't care.
It's hard to believe that I'm from the same species that could create such carnage.
We improved, but that's damning with faint praise. How come these planet-side missions always end up being so damn cheerful?
Captain, another abnormally high reading emanating from an object in his pocket. A locket of some sort.
Nothing to report in the west.
What can you tell me about the war? What can you tell me about Trelane? About your locket. What can you tell me about the war?
I am a sentry. The others are dead. I think I'm dying. Nothing to report in the west.
What can you tell me about Trelane?
I like to watch the airplanes fly overhead. The enemy watches them too, and I know we'll have a few minutes of peace. Nothing to report in the west.
About...
You want my locket? But that's the only reminder of my girl. I'd rather lose my arm.
We need it very badly. If we do something for you, would you give it to us?
I have a letter to my girl. If you see that it is delivered, I'll give you my locket.
My dearest Hilda, you are the sun that lights my shadows. Your voice is the one that speaks to me when all other voices are filled with pain. Only your memory keeps this unbearable suffering from driving me mad. That and the hope that this war will soon end, one way or another, and that I may yet live to see your smile.
Young human male, life signs failing. Suffering from internal bleeding and shock. That's odd. I should should be able to see immediate improvement in his injuries. But I have no response.
That is because Trelane is interfering. This man is meant to be a dying soldier, whose presence provides drama for Trelane's production.
He'll die.
Logic suggests that Trelane will not allow him to die, except for dramatic effect. Given the inconsistencies I've noticed, it is probable that he may be kept alive indefinitely.
Can you give him something for the pain, Doctor?
Nothing I've done has any effect on him, Commander.
You know that Baron's orders are that you are to be served in the armory. You are not to enter this establishment.
Everyone knows, Fraulein, that the Baron's orders were never meant to be taken seriously. Even by him.
Looks like trouble.
Excuse me, but if the lady wants you out, then you should get out. Would you like to step outside? Hello, soldier. Wouldn't you look good with beer on your face? Excuse me, but if the lady...
I won't have trouble in my place. Get out. I will be bringing beer to the armory later tonight anyway.
I don't know who you are, but we had better not meet again.
Nice guy.
A large and rather ugly painting of a townscape.
The tricorder detects no unusual properties.
Except for its unusual ugliness, Spock.
My father painted that!
It's a very nice painting.
Come to think about it, it's very, interesting.
My tricorder indicates 3 people in the immediate vicinity.
My medical tricorder identifies the substance contained in the keg to be a fermented cereal produced by a malting process.
In other words, beer.
How come Spock gets to ramble on forever with his explanations without interruptions, and I don't?
I recommend finding out as much as we can about Trelane.
He's an immature maniac with immense powers. Now, what else do we need to know about him, Spock?
Knowledge of his current activities would be an asset, Doctor.
With an egotist like Trelane, I doubt we'll have to do too much investigating. He'll let us know what he's planning.
Foreknowledge, Doctor, is preferable to surprise.
Well, Miss Gernsbeck, you seem to run a very efficient place.
Thank you, Colonel. Unfortunately, the war does not lend itself to efficiency. What do you wish to talk about?
Why are you calling me a colonel? What's going on with the war? You said that the war led to a lack of efficiency. What are you talking about? What do you know about Trelane? Why do these soldiers bother you? I've looked in at the school, and I believe that chalkboard is extremely dangerous. I need to convince Herr Schiller to let me dispose of it. Can you deliver a letter for me? Why are you calling me a...
I know who you are. Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Kirk, leader of the famed United States Enterprise Squadron that has shot down so many of our pilots, along with Major Spock and Captain Leo McCoy.
Captain McCoy? Leo?
Excuse me, Gretel, could you answer a question or two for me?
I will try, Colonel.
What's going on with the war?
It has not been going well of late, though we are told that Kaiser Wilhelm will never surrender. I doubt the war will last more than 2 months.
What is the date?
You have been held prisoner for a long time. It is October 16th, 1918. I'm glad it's coming to an end. I've lost so many friends. I've never felt so alone.
You said that the war led...
The soldiers are little more than animals. They do as they please because the Baron protects them. I must deliver kegs of beer for them every night. It keeps them from having to leave the armory. I'm glad it's coming to an end. I've lost so many friends. I've never felt so alone.
What do you know about Trelane?
I know the Baron despises you and has vowed to kill you if you should ever meet again. Take my advice. Flee Garthos and never return.
And how does one flee Garthos?
I do not know. Else I would have left long ago. The village of Garthos seems to ensnare anyone who comes here. You see, I really work for the French government. I'm glad it's coming to an end. I've lost so many friends. I've never felt so alone.
Spy?
I have been here for 2 years. The Western Front is very close, and I send information to France. I'm glad it's coming to an end. I've lost so many friends. I've never felt so alone.
Why do these soldiers bother Gretel? I need to persuade Herr Schiller.
Herr Kirk, as you know my secret, I have no choice but to help you. Herr Schiller cares about the health of his pupils more than anything. If you could convince him that the chalkboard is dangerous...
I had a thought about that. How can I convince him?
Herr Sundergaard, the publisher, is the most respected man in Gothos. Next to the Baron, of course. If you could persuade him to start a rumor that these chalkboards were unhealthy, I believe that Herr Schiller would believe it and give you a letter allowing you to confiscate it. I'm glad it's coming to an end. I've lost so many friends. I've never felt so alone.
Why do they... Gretel, I need... Alone, Fräulein?
Perhaps someday, when you have defeated your enemy and this war is finally over, you would come and visit me. I would enjoy spending better times with you.
Perhaps, Fräulein. Excuse me, Gretel, could you answer a question or two for me?
I will try, Colonel.
Why do... Gretel, can you deliver a letter for me?
Give me the letter, and I will see that it is delivered. Thank you, Captain. I will see that it is delivered.
Rudolf Ulan, owner of the shop outside. What seems to be the problem?
What do you think about the war, Harold?
Herr Schiller would have us believe that Germany is doomed. But I have more faith in our great soldiers than that. Victory shall be ours. Herr Kirk, what is it this time?
What can you tell me about Trelane? That's a very nice clock in your What can you tell me about Trelane?
The perfect German. If anyone can turn this war around, it's him.
You're such a sycophant, Rudolph.
Herr Kirk, what is it this time?
That's a very nice clock in your shop.
If you wish to purchase the clock, all you have to do is pay for it. It's a simple enough arrangement.
McCoy has drugged the beer.
If I didn't know your good luck was only temporary, I'd be quite annoyed.
Mr. Full House is complaining? If his hands were any more indecent, he would be arrested.
With the Baron's soldiers, he might be arrested even if his hands were decent. I can't complete a strike to save my life. Or your fortune.
There is a date circled on this calendar, October 16, 1918.
I'm Werner Gillard, the shoemaker. If you are not prepared to play, please leave us.
Excuse our friend. He doesn't like to perform in front of an audience.
Welcome. I am Kurt Nielsen, owner of the Gothos Brewery. If you care to join, feel free, if you can pay the stake.
Hello, I am Richard Sundergaard. I publish the local newspaper. It's nice to see someone as famous as you, Lieutenant Colonel.
Doesn't it worry you, Herr Sundergaard, that you know an enemy ace is standing next to you?
The Baron has given orders for everyone in Gothos to treat you well, Herr Kirk. A fellow pilot honoring fellow pilots, I suppose, although I would not trust the military to follow those orders to the letter. Welcome, friends. Can I help you?
What can you tell me about the war? What can you tell me about Trelane? Can you help me get into this poker game? I need you to spread a rumor about a chalkboard. What can you tell me about the...
My son is in the army. I fear for him constantly. I've tried to convince the commander at the armory to authorize his transfer. I would do nearly anything for that transfer. Welcome, friends. Can I help you?
What can you tell me about Trelane?
Herr Kirk, you know the Baron quite well, do you not? I doubt I could tell you anything you do not know. Welcome, friends. Can I help you?
What can you tell me about... Can you help me get into this poker game? I need you to spread a rumor about a chalkboard.
You say you need me to convince Herr Schiller to give you the kindergarten blackboard? I do not know why, but I would do anything if you could get the commander to issue a transfer for my son. Welcome to the game, Colonel.
3 hours later.
Mein Gott!
Where did you learn to play poker, Colonel?
Starfleet Academy.
We have enough money to purchase the clock, Captain. I suggest we do so without delay.
Give me a good match of Somenjitsu any day.
Ah, poker. So many memories.
Poker. How unusual to find this activity in Germany during this period. Fascinating.
Fascinating? Just because your ears grow when you bluff? Ah, poker. I remember this time in medical school where I got into this game.
Doctor, I see no relevance of your story to this situation.
Spock, did anyone ever tell you that you can be damn rude?
That was some smart work, Dr. McCoy, to drug their beer.
Thank you, Commander.
It's nice to see someone on the Enterprise is clever enough to avoid risking people's lives.
I have a bad feeling about this.
You'll never get me to talk.
I would prefer that you didn't. You're nothing but a figment of Trelane's childish imagination. You're even less important than he is. Where's Trelane? Where's my crew? I would prefer that you didn't.
I will tell you nothing.
I could mind meld with him to get the combination of the safe.
Do it, Spock. Spock, snap out of it.
He's not paying attention to me. Run away.
The combination, Spock. Concentrate on the combination.
Kirk. I must have revenge on Kirk. Every great man has his enemy. Nothing could be more fun than revenge. The sensation to end all sensations.
Spock.
I am back, Captain. I was able to mind meld with Trelane to an extent through his replications. These men are the crew of the Shinobi, the original freighter that Trelane captured. Their thoughts have been altered by Trelane.
Where is the Enterprise, Spock?
Or the Zimbabwe.
I received the impression that Trelane is holding them prisoner. I also got the combination for the safe. Right 43, left 18, right 29, pull.
I suggest caution. He's a trained military officer. Giving him freedom without covering him with a weapon is not a good idea.
It's not very friendly, Commander.
Doctor, my job is to tell you the situation as I see it, not as I'd like it to be. If you think that being friendly to people loyal to Trelane is useful, tell me that I'm wrong.
He might be right, Bones.
You have taken one of their rifles.
You presume to threaten me, Colonel?
I want you to sign transfer papers for Sundergaard's son. Send him away from the front.
How typical of the press. Not too willing to sacrifice for the good of the nation. Untie me, and I shall sign papers to take this little coward away from his duty.
I'll get it.
You have taken the signed transfer papers.
And what is the Bluffmeister up to this time?
He doesn't bluff. He just complains about everything.
I do not. If I did, I would have hit the ceiling with my last hand.
You dealt. You deal with it.
There's no hand worse than the one you deal yourself. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. I cannot express my gratitude. If there is anything I can do for you, please let me know. Welcome, friends. Can I help you?
What? I need you to spread a rumor about a chalkboard.
You say you need me to convince Herr Schiller to give you the kindergarten blackboard. I would do anything for the man who got the commander to issue a transfer for my son.
I saw how you handled that foolish brute outside. Quite impressive. I am Schiller, superintendent of the local schools. How may I help you?
What do you think of the war? What can you tell me about Trelane? You look worried. It wouldn't happen to be about the chalkboard by any chance. What do you think?
Horrible business. When it started, I thought it would be good for Germany, but it soon became a mess. I hope it will be over soon. If we can settle this thing without harsh negotiations, we can get back to being a civilized nation once again. Herr Kirk, though my position as school superintendent keeps me busy, I'm always glad to help you.
What can you tell me? You look worried. What can you tell me about?
A flamboyant man, and the greatest pilot in Germany. If only his soldiers weren't such rabble. Herr Kirk, though my position as school superintendent keeps me busy, I'm always glad to help you.
You look worried. It wouldn't happen to be about the chalkboard by any chance.
I have heard the most horrifying rumors about these boards. Do you think they are true?
Absolutely. If you wish, I could dispose of the thing for you before anyone is harmed. I'd need a letter for Frau Hubbarding.
Absolutely. Let me just take pen to paper. Take it when you want to destroy the vile thing.
You pick up the piece of paper.
Nothing to report in the west.
What can you tell? What about that locket?
You've delivered my letter? I guess I'll keep my promise. Have my locket.
Well, if the superintendent says you must take it, you must.
Hi, can I help you?
What do you want? That really is a beautiful clock.
You can afford it? Take it.
There it is, the triplane that shot down the Enterprise.
Why don't you start it up and fly off in a blaze of glory? After all, you are James T. Kirk, the toast of Starfleet. The man who never loses.
Mr. Ellis.
What's the matter, Kirk? The truth hurts? You never let that get in the way of your ego before.
I'm putting you on report for insubordination. We're all upset, Mr. Ellis, but these insults won't solve the thing. That's it. I've taken all I can stand from you. We're all upset, Mr.
I don't believe in mincing my words, Captain. If you can't accept my honest opinion, too bad.
Fine, but do yourself a favor and stay out of my way. That's it. I've taken all I can stand from you. Fine, but do yourself a favor and...
Kirk, I'm going to be in your face so much that you're never going to forget what I look like.
Commander, I know a treatment that has a good success rate at reducing excess aggressiveness. It's called reason.
Another abnormally high reading emanating from the plane. It is in every way a Fokker DR-1, except for that power source. I'm picking up immense power readings from that castle in the distance. There is a high probability that it's Trelane's base.
Well, of course it's Trelane's base. Where do you expect Trelane to live? A slum?
Doctor, your display of emotion is quite unnecessary.
The Enterprise is not far. I can sense it.
That is not logical, Captain.
I know, Mr. Spock, but I'd bet everything that I have it's nearby.
Captain, the force field around the castle is extremely intense. I get the same energy signature from it as I did from the triplane that attacked the Enterprise.
Mr. Spock, is there any way to penetrate it?
The force field permeates the ground, Captain. The largest weapons of this era could not penetrate the force field. If we could generate a disruption on the wavelength, the field could be breached, although we would not have much time before it was re-established.
How could we generate such a disruption?
By physically destroying other objects that resonate on that wavelength. Objects like the power objects that we have already found.
Well, here we are. I wonder what kind of death this person has in store for us.
An impressive edifice.
Here we are at Trelane's doorstep. What's the matter, Trelane? Is the great Baron of Gothos afraid to come out and play?
I would have thought someone with Trelane's ego would have jumped to make a grand entrance from the castle.
Obviously, he's waiting for a moment of maximum theatrical effect. Or maybe you're just a coward, Trelane.
It is interesting that he does not choose to appear at this time.
Quite annoying, although perhaps I should count my blessings.
You put the locket in the triplane. You put the chalkboard in the triplane. You put the clock in the triplane.
Affirmative, Captain.
Everyone stay well back.
I suppose I should be angry at you, Captain, with your act of vandalism against my beautiful aircraft. But then, barbarians will be barbarians.
There's only one barbarian in the room, Trelane, and I'm looking at him right now. Release my ship, Trelane. And don't you ever grow up, Trelane? You may have powers of a god, but that doesn't even come close to making you a man. There's only one barbarian.
Captain, you're even ruder and more antagonistic than I remembered. How wonderful!
What must I do to make you leave me and my crew alone?
I have no interest in leaving you alone, Captain. As for your crew, you're only a few feet away from them. Observe my trophies, Captain Kirk.
Well, how does the great James T. Kirk get us out of this mess? Or the ones who will get out of this mess alive?
None of us will get out of here alive if we don't stick together. Do you have any ideas, Mr. Ellis?
Have you ever played hide-and-seek, Captain? From what you've told me, he's a cosmic child hiding from his parents. If I were his parents, I wouldn't leave him alone for a minute. I'll bet my life that someone's looking for him, Captain.
You just might be right, Mr. Ellis.
Well, this is another fine mess we're in, Jim.
Any ideas on how to get out of this, Bones?
Well, looking at it from a medical perspective, we might view Trelane as a biological control network. And everything else that's going on is controlled by Trelane.
And?
What happens if Trelane loses control? Immaturity does seem to be Trelane's only weakness.
That's dangerous, Bones.
Like playing with a phaser on overload, but that's the only thing I can think of right now.
All right, Trelane, why don't we end the spars? I'm the one who humiliated you. I'm the reason your parents punished you. Let the others and their ships go free.
Last time, Captain, you cheated. But if your friends are here, maybe you won't cheat.
I can suggest no logical course of action that can resolve this dilemma.
This is hardly a logical situation, Mr. Spock.
Indeed. Still, I wonder if Trelane realizes the extent of his misrepresentation.
This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the USS Enterprise.
Jim, is that what I think it is?
It is the Enterprise, Doctor. It is functioning normally, aside from being trapped. The crew are alive and well.
My latest hobby, gentlemen, putting warships in bottles, celebrating the grand martial heritage of your species.
This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the USS Zimbabwe.
My ship! Bring it back or I'll...
This one's even more savage than the last one of your officers who made the same mistake. My compliments, Captain, on having such a spirited crew. Truly a testament to your fine leadership.
Release him, Trelane. He's done you no harm. Take me in his place. He's not a member of my crew and you know it. Besides, he looks rather peaceful standing there. He's done you no harm. Take...
Ah, the gallant captain, intervening on behalf of one who despises him. Don't worry about him, Captain. Worry about yourself.
I suppose I should thank you, Captain.
Later, Commander.
This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the SS Manikier, a Denebian transport. This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the SS Shinobi, a freighter.
Captain, the painting is another power object. Is it really necessary to use firearms?
It's a power object. You remember what happened the last time I shot one of his power objects?
Yes, it was destroyed. Trelane's power faded until he activated a secondary power object. We need to find a more permanent solution, Captain.
Trelane, the Baron of Gothos, smirks triumphantly as the little drama unfolds. Weird stuff, Mr. Ellis thinks. Why did I have to get mixed up with the Enterprise and their weird stuff?
Well, Captain, I suppose you're about to make your grand plan of escape?
You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War. Why should I have to make a grand plan to escape from a loser like you? I don't have to do anything. Eventually, your parents are going to find you and discipline you again.
Fortunately, Kirk, my parents are otherwise occupied. They won't interrupt me when I'm winning.
But you have to compete first, before you can win. Send the others away safely, and I'll give you a chance at revenge. That's odd. I was sure I detected other power sources converging towards us when I was on the Enterprise. You weren't winning, Trelane. You never were. You had tremendous powers, you had a weapon, and I didn't. And you still fell on your face. That's odd. I was sure...
No, you didn't. It's nowhere near me. But there's no harm in making sure we aren't seen. She's gone. Now I have to think of the proper way to destroy my enemies. You have a brief respite before your destruction. Well, Captain, I suppose you're about to make your grand plan of escape.
You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War.
Why, thank you, Captain.
I wasn't complimenting you, Trelane. I've never seen such a piece of nonsense in my life. Although you could have made that trench scene much more realistic. If World War I had been the way you depicted, human history would have been a lot less bloody. Although you could have made that...
Really, Captain?
Look into the memory banks of the Enterprise, Trelane. Recreate what's in there, and let me show you firsthand the glory of one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history. Not a liar, just misinformed. Use the memory banks of the Enterprise, Trelane. Recreate what's in there. War at its most realistic and terrifying.
The sides of a trench. Moats filled with soldiers in which they besieged each other for 4 bloody years. A German soldier. He had lost his 3 brothers at Verdun and had considered mutinying, but feared disgrace more than the loss of his own life. A German soldier. Though you couldn't tell it from the color of his uniform, mud has a way of making them all look the same. A dead French soldier. He survived a mustard gas attack at Ypres, but in this war, luck is not on anyone's side. A dead French soldier. In his hands, he cradles a letter from his fiancée. A dead French soldier. Dr. McCoy would tell you that he was already half dead from disease before the battle began. Rain has been falling for hours, ever since the battle ended. Otherwise, all is quiet on the Western Front. Trelane, the Baron of Gothos, seems delighted by what he is seeing.
Captain Kirk, I hope you had a good reason for dragging me out in the mud in the middle of the rain.
Look around you, Trelane. Is this glory? Is this valor? Smell the stench of death. While knights fought in the sky, millions died in the mud, diseased, starving, mutilated. Is this the sort of game you want to play, Trelane? For once in your life, Trelane, shut up and look around you. Look around, Trelane. Take in the ambience, the romance of this place. Look at the proud soldiers celebrating the glories of war. Look around you, Trelane.
But these people lost, Kirk. Shame and suffering is supposed to befall the losers in war.
These were the winners, Trelane. You're inhuman, Trelane. You play games with people and ignore their suffering, just like the people who sent these men to die. You should have been a politician. If you have any real courage, Trelane, if you want to experience real warfare, put yourself in their place. No powers, no titles. Experience the glory of war firsthand, like these men did. You're inhuman, Trelane.
I'm not a politician. I'm a general. I'm a baron. The great Trelane, the humble Baron of Gothos.
Does it look like these men had fun, Trelane? Look at their faces. You've known pain. You've known grief. I've seen it. Don't you have any grief or feeling for them?
You're no fun anymore, Kirk. No fun at all. You're preachy just like them. Anything I'm interested in is always wrong.
Release my ship. Trelane, look around you. Does this look right to you? Trelane, you don't go around hurting people and expect them to treat it as though they're having fun. The first thing a life form learns is to avoid pain. Release my ship.
Why should I? I was winning. I really was. I won that ship fair and square. It's mine now. My ship. Mine, mine, mine.
Trelane, if I admit that I cheated on our last encounter, can I have my ship back? No, Trelane, it's my ship. I'm the commanding officer. There's nothing you can do to change that. I'll tell you what, Trelane. You can keep the Enterprise. All I want is your triplane. Trelane.
Admit that you cheated? That you were a scoundrel who was a disgrace to your uniform? A complete washout as captain? Not fit to lick the boots of the great Trelane, Baron of Gothos?
Yes, I admit all that. Now release my ship.
Oh, but I was having so much fun with it. Oh, I had such a wonderful time defeating your great air fleet.
Look at the calendar in Gothos. The war is nearly over. Wars do end, Trelane. It's time to put the triplanes away. But Trelane, I admitted everything you wanted me to admit. You're going to keep your word, aren't you? Come on, Trelane, you said you would give me back my ship. You promised.
Oh, I suppose I should. If only to stop your unbearable complaining. However, I will be back. Do not make any mistake about that.
Captain's log. The missing starships have been restored to normal size and are about to return to their assigned missions. It was horrible, Mr. Spock. Trelane recreated one of the greatest tragedies in human history. I've seen a lot, but even that...
The waste of lives is appalling, even when one operates by pure logic. When one considers what those millions of lives that were lost might have done for humanity had the war never taken place.
Well, now that we've taken care of business... Ow! I'll have to see Dr. McCoy about my shoulder.
Something happened, Captain?
Mr. Ellis and
I see. Are your differences settled?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Spock. We each won a game of zero-G squash, but I'm afraid he was called back to the Zimbabwe before we could have a rubber match. I think I dislocated my shoulder with a rather wild swing in the second game.
Then logic suggests that your injury would have caused you to lose the match.
I suppose so. He's a good player and a good officer. I'm putting in a request to bring him on the Enterprise.
That should be fascinating.
Hello, Captain. I'm Captain Gernsbeck of the Shinobi. I thought I would thank you personally before we left for Cephas 5.
A pleasure to meet you, Captain.
Have we met before, Captain? There's something familiar.
Perhaps we did, on some other planet, in some other star system, sometime long ago.
Message from Starfleet Command.
On screen.
I've reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.
Captain's log. While exploring an uncharted star system in the Deneb sector, we received what we think is a message from a distress beacon on Onias 2. We're en route to investigate.
Approaching Onias 2, Captain.
It may be nothing, Captain, but a scan of the planet's atmosphere indicates a high concentration of rare gases trapped in the planet's magnetosphere. Atmospheric disturbances could produce random radio waves.
It wouldn't be the first time, Mr. Spock, but we'll never be able to tell if we don't check it out. After all, to seek out new life and new civilizations is our mission, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
A split infinitive, Captain.
What?
The proper grammatical expression is to go boldly where no man has gone before.
Somehow, I think it loses a little in the translation.
Entering standard orbit.
Fascinating, Captain. Sensors indicate only 2 faint life forms. It is difficult to distinguish, given the discharges in the planet's magnetosphere. It is, however, safe to transport to the planet's surface.
Captain, our sensors will not be particularly useful to you while you're down there, and communications may be erratic, sir.
We'll be fine, Lieutenant. What reason is there to worry?
I'm afraid, Captain, there are plenty of precedents. We'll be here if you need us.
I have no doubt of that.
I have tracked the signal to its source. It is near the life forms. The rest of the planet is quite desolate. No sign of life or technology. The atmosphere is thin, but breathable, and I detect numerous micrometeorite hits.
There are 3 unformed planets in this system. It's no wonder. There are so many micrometeorites. I'm surprised any Class M planet hasn't been pulverized by now.
It is not inconceivable, but it is certainly unusual.
Let's do it, Spock. You, McCoy, and I. Oh, and tell Bones to see if a genetic specialist's available. If there are only 2 life forms, we might be privileged to see life at its earliest stages.
Feels to me as if we've landed on a skeleton after the vultures have picked it clean.
A fascinating analogy, Doctor. Captain, the locus of the distress signal is in that building.
I think the doctor is right. Anything good here died a long time ago.
feels creepy to me.
Thank you for that opinion, Mr. Johns. I'll be certain to use creepy in my log entry about this.
As improbable as it might seem, I'm getting multiple life form readings from inside this building. It strikes me as unlikely, Captain, that this world is capable of sustaining the society and culture needed to generate the distress signals we have been receiving from here.
A magnificent desolation. Reminds me of a summer I spent on Mars climbing Olympus Mons.
You're kidding, right? Forgive me for saying so, sir, but this place is pitiful.
Well, I think I've finally found something I dislike more than having my molecules scrambled. This world.
Bones, stop complaining. There's nothing wrong with this place aside from a little dust.
An antenna. I wonder what it was meant for.
That's what we're here to find out, Mr. Johns.
The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. The focal point of the dish is aligned approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. This appears to be similar to Federation technology, Captain. Its control principles are similar to the Medaille sensor dish on Vulcan. It has locked the array at a 35-degree angle. Without knowledge of the code control sequence, I cannot adjust it. I also detect that its power core is not functioning. It operates on geothermal energy, tapping into heat from the ground below. The energy level is insufficient, Captain. We cannot generate the energy level needed to provide geothermal energy with hand phasers.
If it's thermal energy you want, Jim, I remember this planet that used a starship's phasers on a microwave setting to heat the surrounding rock to provide temporary power.
An interesting observation, Doctor. We could use the same technique here, but the beam would have to be extremely precise. If we targeted the wrong section, we could melt the rock and destroy the array. This appears to be the most accessible spot to heat the rocks below the ground and generate geothermal energy for the array.
Kirk to Enterprise. Sulu, can you read me?
Sulu here, Captain. How can I help you?
The Enterprise should broadcast a low-level microwave beam at the coordinates I am sending.
We have them, Mr. Spock. Get ready. Stand away from the blast area.
Stand by, ready for weapons position.
Sending microwaves now.
Temperature near the power coupling is rising rapidly. I estimate a below-ground temperature of 345 degrees Kelvin is required to reactivate the array. It is at 320, 330, 335, 340, 345, 350.
Shut off the beam, Mr. Sulu.
Affirmative, Captain.
The array is now drawing power. We were successful. The array is functioning stably. I estimate our discharge has given it adequate energy to function for 13 days, 7 hours, and 26.8 minutes. The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage, though support beneath the base is weak and crumbled. It is aligned to a point approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. Captain, the controls indicate the device is aligned at an angle approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. There appears to be some sort of anomaly in the control program that has misaligned the controls, but my tricorder is unable to determine it. Without a method of determining the proper angle, I am afraid I cannot realign the dish.
Scotty, I need a calculation from the main computer.
While I know the computers on the Enterprise aren't quite as good as her engines, I think she'll manage.
I am sending the problem.
Ugh, that was too easy, Mr. Spock. The angle is 32.5 degrees.
Thank you, Mr. Scotty.
So is there anything else you need, Captain?
Not now, Scotty. Kirk out.
I am now attempting to realign the device to 32.5 degrees. It should now be correctly aligned. Captain, the array is now properly aligned to 32.5 degrees. The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. This array appears focused on a point approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. This appears to be similar to Federation technology, Captain. Its control principles are similar to the Medaille sensor dish on Vulcan. It has locked the array at a 35-degree angle. Without knowledge of the code control sequence, I cannot adjust it.
The peacefulness of this planet is a nice change, isn't it, Mr. Spock?
Somewhat like the meditation grounds on Vulcan, Captain.
After our encounter with the Alasi, the Vardane, and their replica of the Enterprise, I can appreciate a few less stressful missions.
True, Captain. As long as you do not lower your guard, there is always the potential for danger. The array appears to be in similar condition to the others we have seen.
The difference between this place and hell is flames.
You overlook one other difference, Mr. Johns. As your author Mark Twain said, heaven for the climate, hell for the company.
This is definitely the kind of place you want to be from, not heading to. Well, I have to hand it to whoever built this place. All this equipment looks brand new and in good repair.
Let's hope the Enterprise looks this good when it's this old.
We should be very careful about how we proceed, Captain. I have a strange feeling that evil is lurking nearby.
Evil, Ensign?
Something that wants to imperil our souls, sir. We must avoid that at all costs.
A DNA synthesizer and replicator. This is one of the most advanced genetic facilities I have ever seen. How unusual.
How so, Spock?
Even visitors to this planet would leave behind a substantial number of artifacts. Sending only a genetics lab does not fit established archaeological patterns.
I haven't seen equipment like this since I interned on Talara. Such equipment. In such a place.
Interesting equipment we have here.
You know, a person could do serious research with a device like this. What an odd piece of equipment to find in a place like this.
Nothing to report, Captain. Are you ready to be beamed aboard?
Tourist season's not over, Lieutenant.
So when do we get shore leave, Captain?
Lieutenant, if I scheduled shore leave down on this planet, I'd be the most unpopular captain in the Starfleet. Kirk out.
This appears to be a patch of rust and dust that has accumulated on the machine's surface.
If not for a thin covering of red dust, you would assume this DNA replicator had just been unboxed and set up. Aside from minor differences in styling, this looks remarkably like a Tellarite 8000 DNA sequencer.
There are life form readings just to the east and west of this room. This DNA sequencer appears to be nearly 50,000 years old, yet it has not broken down and appears to be fully powered. Aside from some dust and dirt and a small chemical deposit on the intake nozzle, this DNA replicator appears to be in the same condition that it was 50,000 years ago. Readings indicate that along with oxidation and dust, there is some organic residue in the crust-like buildup. A unique use of a phaser, but adequate for removing the deposits from the apparatus.
Greetings, gentle beings, and welcome. I am Azra of the Omegan people. You are the salvation we have long sought. Thank you for answering our summons.
An angel!
Actually, it is the projected image of an angel, Mr. Johns.
Jim, somewhere in that machine behind the portal are single-cell organisms. They have a healthy metabolism and long lifespan, but an extremely low rate of reproduction.
The golden projection gives you a clear view of a lithe, sprightly figure of great beauty. Compassionate intelligence shines from its wide eyes.
This reminds me of the first time I saw them cloning Amoslovs at the Academy. It seemed like magic at the time, the fetuses growing into embryos, then developing into infants.
Life is a miracle, Captain.
This device contains genetic soup, Jim. Amino acids, proteins, the stuff of life itself.
This machine is a genetic bank, Captain. I suspect that the projection acts as a fail-safe mechanism that will surrender samples of the genetic code for sequencing and replication when the mechanism is willing.
We need to do everything we can to preserve the lives of these angelic creatures.
This device contains genetic soup, Jim. Amino acids, proteins, the stuff of life itself.
This casing is constructed from a uranium alloy and contains computer equipment, an image projector controlled from the keyboard, a communications relay, a genetic bank behind that porthole, and a slot with which to take samples from the genetic bank. The computer is quite sophisticated, Captain, with encoded engrams similar to Dr. Daystром's M5 computer program, which would indicate artificial intelligence. The computer is functional, but I detect no connection between the keyboard and the machine itself. Apparently, it was designed this way. Energy levels behind this glass are more than sufficient for having powered the distress signal we received. This projection is being cycled at 1,000 frames a second, which suggests the equipment was designed to function in the presence of a race that has a sharper visual acuity than the human or Vulcan races.
The enclosure behind this porthole is teeming with life. Billions and billions of creatures. There's something wrong with the piece of his genetic code that controls reproduction. I've never seen such a low reproductive rate in an organism that's this simple.
So where's the emergency? Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you? All right, I know you're just a projection. Let's speak with your real masters. Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the...
I am Azra of the Omegan people, an ancient and venerable race which labors to prevent the domination of this world by the forces of darkness. We require you to expunge this place of our mortal enemies.
Captain, the most worthwhile purpose in life is to fight against the forces of darkness. We must help him.
Enemies? This world is so barren that all the life on it is located right here. If you have mortal enemies, we've not seen them. Who are you talking about? Our Prime Directive prohibits us from taking part in wars on one side or the other. It would be seen as intervention. We are willing to negotiate a compromise. You will forgive me if I don't fall for a pretty face. I'm not about to expunge anyone. And I will take no action until I've heard both sides of the story. Enemy, our prime directive.
You imperil your soul by conversing with the enemy, that sugar-tongued Vizsla. I cannot protect you, but I do not imagine I can dissuade you either. Go, do what you must. I do not have that much time, but will be here if you seek to comply with my request.
I welcome you, otherworlders. I beseech you, save us from that which seeks our destruction.
How fitting for a devil to appear on a world that looks like hell.
Enough of that, Mr. Johns. This is just another xenobiological entity.
Correction, Doctor. This is a projection of a xenobiological entity.
Jim, the only life form readings are within that machine behind the portal. Single-cell organisms with an extremely high reproductive rate, but a very poor metabolism and an extremely short lifespan.
The monstrous projection towers over you with viscous bodily fluids oozing from sores and coagulating in long, putrid streamers. In its swollen, pus-ridden, piggish eyes, you see fear mixed with cunning.
I can't say that I'll nominate this place for viewing in the Federation's architectural archives.
This machine is a genetic bank, Captain. I suspect that the projection acts as a fail-safe mechanism that will surrender samples of the genetic code for sequencing and replication, when the mechanism is willing.
How come I always come to the barren planets, Jim?
This place feels evil, sir. I hope we don't have to stay here very long.
The computer is functional, but I detect no connection between the keyboard and the machine itself. Apparently, it was designed this way. Energy levels behind this glass are more than sufficient for having powered the distress signal we received.
The glass-lined enclosure beyond this porthole is teeming with life. Literally billions and billions of creatures reside herein. The genetic pattern seems unusually stunted. It's almost as though something's missing.
Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you? So, when do the wicked witches and goblins show up? Your emergency beacon and statement lead me to believe you see more of an emergency than exists here. Greetings, I am
Vizsla of the Alphen people. Our race possessed this world and thrived here until the invasion by the forces of light. We are locked in a death struggle with them, for they desire our destruction. Do you aid them?
No, we do not aid them. Wars and destruction are not things we value, Vizsla. Our prime directive prevents us from interfering in internal struggles, but at the request of all parties, we might negotiate a compromise. Forgive me, but I find that claim insupportable. This world, while grim, hardly looks like a battleground. Who is trying to destroy it? Wars and destruction are...
You open yourself to confusion in speaking with Azra, but it is understandable that you want to hear his side before acting. My assessment of you suggests that most of you will fight the clouding of logic and will see through Azra's deception. Please report to me your success.
Why wait? We've already talked to Azra.
It surprises me that you managed to survive listening to his warped theology. Yours must be a patient life form.
Frankly, Vizsla, Azra is certainly committed to his cause, but hardly the blood-mad fanatic you describe him to be. Warped theology. It is true they differ greatly from you, but your worldviews are based on common beliefs. You see things from different perspectives, that's all. Frankly, Vizsla, warped theology.
Are you utterly ungrounded in logic? They are creatures of superstition. They invaded our world, then sought to drive us from it. How can you suggest we are anything alike?
You question my grounding in logic, but you don't apply logic to an examination of Alphan beliefs. Aren't they concerned with the same things you are? You're supposed to be the reasonable one. Your facts can't be very persuasive if you aren't willing to try and find common ground. You said they usurped your place in the world, which suggests prior ownership by you. What evidence do you have to support that concept?
We know we came first because they invaded us. An invasion suggests they came to take away that which we possessed. Clearly you can see that.
How do you know they didn't exist on this world before you encountered them?
Do you further suppose they came first and we invaded them?
I see there are only single-celled organisms here, each with a defect. Perhaps at one time, the Alpha and Omega life forms were united. A strong, viable species that became divided. Only by reuniting can you hope to survive. And only through mutual cooperation and our help can you reunite.
Captain, this thing is evil. We can't unite them.
Your position is unassailable and points out the one and only purpose for our races. Thank you, Captain Kirk, for making me see that. Yes, I desire your help for my people. Help us.
This colony of creatures appears viable for the short term.
Boy, these Alphans are healthy little beggars. They're multiplying at a phenomenal rate.
You take the alpha sample, which feels cold to the touch.
I will now reactivate Azra, Captain.
Was it not as I said it would be? Are not the Alphans unfeeling, uncaring beings unworthy of life? Did they tell you their lies?
Foul lies? Their position contradicts yours, but there are similarities. You dwell on your differences so much, you just can't see them. Frankly, Azra Visner is quite rational and makes your impassioned pleas for genocide sound psychotic. For a being of goodness, you're rather bloodthirsty. Maybe you should try practicing what you preach. Foul lies?
Captain, they're as different as angels and demons.
Similarities? They are beings of shadow. They mock our perfection. They are our antithesis, created after we were to destroy us and our potential for good.
You repeatedly proclaim yourself good and suggest you are morally superior to the Alphans. Why don't you act like it? If you're so perfect, how come you need our help? You said they were created after you were. How do you know that?
We know we came first because that is what our sacred scriptures tell us. In the light we were born and commanded to shun that which dwells in darkness. This clearly tells us that we came first. Surely you can see that. Or is it that you have some other interpretation of the event that birthed the Omegans?
Does your sacred scriptures explicitly say that no beings were created before you?
Dare you suggest they came first?
Let's see what we've got. 2 single-celled organisms, each incapable of survival on their own. One lives in light, the other lives in darkness. Each must live a limited and unstable life without the other.
Captain, do you know what you're doing?
Allow us to unite you again. Your combined strengths will make you a viable entity again.
The persuasiveness of your arguments has opened for me a door through which I spy a future and a truth that I have long denied. You are correct. Perhaps being only half of a whole, I could not see the solution. Yes, I desire your help for my people. Help us.
This colony of creatures appears viable for the short term.
These Omegans are incredible. They metabolize almost everything, which explains how they give off that glow.
The sample dish feels warm to the touch.
This looks like a Tellarite 8000. Do you think Tellarites were here and have duplicated the design?
Unlikely, Doctor. But that is an interesting observation.
It's fairly simple to operate. You input samples into the sequencer and you can combine with the replicator. Using the replicator is the hard part of the operation.
Wow, this is almost identical to an 8000 sequencer. Cutting-edge Federation technology. Just input a sample, and the sequencer analyzes it so it can be spliced or altered on the genetic level with the replicator. I don't know why, but I could not get a good sampling.
Ensign, let Dr. McCoy try that troublesome sequence.
I can do the job, sir, if I can have some peace and quiet here.
Mr. Johns, I think I'm getting a clear picture here of your difficulties. Do you realize that insubordination is an offense punishable by a court-martial? It looks to me that you're deliberately trying to mislead us. That's not a good career move. Calm down, Ensign. No one is criticizing you. I just need answers. Mr. Johns, calm down, Ensign.
I appreciate the offer, Captain, but I know what's right and wrong here, so I don't need your help.
Ensign, I appreciate your situation, but this is not the time for philosophy. You have a job to do. Ensign, you are here as a genetic engineer, not as a philosopher. I expect my orders to be obeyed, and if you have a problem with them, I don't expect to be deliberately misled. I could really use a Tellarite security officer right now. Ensign, I appreciate...
You don't understand, Captain. Look at the Alphans and look at the Omegans. There's so much evil in the universe. You're asking me to destroy a race of good and beauty by mixing their genetics with something ugly, something evil. I can't do it.
Ensign, these Alphans and Omegans are single-celled creatures. Those projections are only constructs. Examine them yourself. Could their DNA produce creatures like Azra and Visner? I am asking you to do nothing of the kind, Ensign. You believe in the struggle of good against evil, and I respect that. But the application of your philosophical perspective is misplaced here. The Alphans and Omegans are single-celled creatures. They are no more capable of good or evil than a triple. Can't you see that? Ensign, I think you're confusing things. The Alphans and Omegans are single-celled creatures. While the projections may have seemed sophisticated and human, they are constructs. You can look at the sequence and tell what you have there for DNA could never produce such a creature, can't you? Ensign, I think you're confusing things.
Single cells. You're right. I've been a real idiot. I suppose I should take a refresher course in Aesop.
It wouldn't hurt. Some of the wisest people in history have written for children.
Never judge an input card by its label. I guess that was the trap I fell into and kept me from doing my job and made me deceive my captain.
If it's any consolation, you're not very good at deception, Ensign.
Thank you, sir. I hope you'll give me a chance to correct my mistakes. Do you think we're really meant to combine the two races?
You've programmed the sequences. You can tell whether they're compatible.
Sir, the sequencer indicates that they need to be combined for their continual survival. But how did you know?
I listened to Dr. McCoy. It seemed the logical conclusion, given the evidence.
Thank you, Captain.
The alpha sample is sequenced, sir. This sample sequence is like a dream. The two samples have joined together as easily as if they had once been a whole and had been separated before.
Any race that had this technology 50,000 years ago could possibly have been able to perform such a dissection and kept both halves alive.
Captain, with the samples sequenced together, I'm ready to use the replicator to produce a sample with the combined genetic data. I am producing a new culture, Captain. Captain, the genetic sequence is still stored in the computer.
If we need another sample, the replicator can generate it.
This colony of creatures appears viable for the long term, quite vital and thriving.
These combined creatures have a triangular structure. These gammons have the energy efficiency of the omegans and the reproductive rate of the alphans.
No effect. No effect.
I officially christen this life form the Gammons.
The computer is functional, but I detect no connection between the keyboard and the machine itself. Apparently, it was designed this way. The narrow width of the keyboard indicates the creatures who designed it were possessed of hands with only 3 fingers and a thumb.
Well, Jim, it doesn't look like it does anything. Oh, I guess I spoke too soon. It took it in. It looks as if the colony is getting a foothold in there.
Life energy levels are spiking. They're building to a level sufficient for sending out a signal 100 times stronger than the one that brought us here, Captain.
The gammon sample appears to be thriving in this environment.
Thank you for your hard work. You have fulfilled the design for which we were created. I am authorized to tell you the true nature of this planet and those who brought you here. All you need do is ask.
Energy levels behind this glass are more than sufficient for having powered the distress signal we received. In addition, I detect a nutrient replicator within the apparatus, capable of feeding organisms for thousands of centuries.
There's nothing living in here, but there are nutrients capable of sustaining large quantities of life.
Beautiful and quite lifelike, the three-dimensional projection appears to be a blend of Alphan and Omegan traits.
Thank you, Captain, for your aid in constituting my people and in the unexpected necessary realignment of our communications array. You have performed admirably. Of the 16 stations reporting at this point, there have been 50% fatalities, 30% other failures, and only 20% successes. One group got points for style. Points for style? Is this some sort of game? Not another alien race with a superiority complex. Who are you this time? Your appreciation is welcome, but many questions remain unanswered. Who are you? Points for style? Your appreciation is welcome. I am Sisissa, a projection of a synthesis of Ozra and Visner. Clearly you know that the primitive life forms you have been dealing with are incapable of creating that in which you now stand. You will also note that the more demonic of the creatures displayed a passivity you did not expect, while the morally pure creature was aggressive and bloodthirsty. The contradictions were noted and duly dealt with. I take it you were testing us on our ability to deal with disparate and contradictory inputs. Yes, your reasoning ability was being tested, as well as your ability to adapt to new ideas when they conflict with deeply held beliefs and cultural customs. You passed quite admirably. The Brassica are impressed. I'm not clear on who the Brassica are.
Captain, from this site I can deduce various things about the Brassica. They are taller and more slender than we are. They are possessed of 3 fingers and a thumb on each hand. I suppose bilateral symmetry, and I know they possess greater visual acuity than humans. They visited this place well before humans had left the Cro-Magnon stage of development. And I note they have avoided detection by us, and presumably every other race in the universe, before they decided to send out signals to bring us to their bases.
Thank you, Mr. Spock. And more you shall know as you continue on the quest. I wish you luck. Kirk to Enterprise, Scotty, 4 to beam up.
Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end.
In this case, Bones, a new beginning. We were the midwives for the rebirth of a life form. Two halves that have been made whole again. That's the way it was meant to be.
And let us hope that this is the end of Ensign John's prejudices.
We can all learn to stop judging people by appearances. Ensign Johns might have done well to remember the biblical representation of Lucifer, appearing in the guise of an angel of light.
You can never trust anybody, and people who look like pointy-eared hobgoblins are definitely at the bottom of the list.
It appears that Dr. McCoy did not learn the lesson of this mission either. Unfortunate, but not unexpected.
Fortunately, the Alphans and the Omegans learned philosophy and personal belief are not as easily divorced from logic as some would believe. We humans attain our greatest fulfillment when both of them are united.
Really, Captain?
Really? But I've had enough philosophy for one day. I'd rather worry about these Brassica and their cosmic quest.
Well, with me aboard, we're sure to get points for style.
Many questions remain unanswered, Captain.
And there's only one way to answer them.
Captain, message from Starfleet.
Bring it up, Lieutenant.
I reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.
Ahead, Mr. Sulu. Warp Factor 5.
Leaving orbit. Increasing to warp factor 5.
Spock, where do you think we should start looking for this? Brassica?
Logic suggests that they will present us with opportunities to come to them.
Captain, a message from Starfleet.
On screen.
Captain, the USS Regulus has been forced to cancel its survey mission to the Antares Rift. We've decided to redirect the Enterprise to that mission. The USS Hood will take over for your current assignment.
Of course, the Antares Rift has a rather dangerous reputation.
Nothing the Enterprise can't handle. But be careful. Starfleet out.
The Antares Rift. It should be a most interesting assignment.
How so, Spock?
There have been several attempts to chart it. All expeditions into the Rift vanished without a trace.
But those expeditions were years ago. Our starships are far more capable than they were during the time of those attempts.
Captain, a 10-year-old child is far more capable than a 3-year-old child. But there are many problems that neither child can solve.
Captain's log, stardate 6257.6. We have entered the Antares Rift and found spatial disruptions in the rift that make using warp engines extremely dangerous. Repairs are almost complete on the minor damage we suffered upon entry into the rift. We are continuing our survey using impulse engines.
My poor babies. Warp engines were meant to be used, Captain.
Communications are back online, Captain.
Deflectors at 93% power and increasing.
Captain, undoubtedly that phenomenon would explain many of the strange disappearances in this sector. Still, with our warp engines deactivated, our computers indicate we will be safe.
Communications are out again, Captain. Is anyone hurt?
If he was human, Mr. Spock's pride might be...
Captain, sensors failed to indicate anything unusual prior to the explosion. I would speculate that it was caused by an extremely unusual rift in the space-time continuum, a place where radically different physical laws apply.
And since it was different space-time, our sensors weren't programmed to detect it.
And it could happen again at any time without warning.
Scotty, what's our status?
Very bad, Captain. Whatever hit the Enterprise hit us right in our own neighborhood. The hull is breached 6 meters from the bridge. Beyond that, the instruments are useless. I can't read or send anything through these controls. We'll need a starbase to make this bridge functional again.
Scotty, how about auxiliary control?
Captain, I cannot determine the status of anything beyond the place where the rupture occurred. The rest of the ship could be dead as far as we know.
Ideas, Mr. Walker?
I'm a security guard, sir, not an idea man. Still, if we could send out probes to detect these rifts, we might get a better idea on whether they're moving or not, and whether we should stop and make repairs, or keep moving.
Status, Mr. Sulu.
Helm is not responding, Captain. The controls are completely dead.
We need to make communicating with the rest of the ship our first priority. Status, Mr. Chekhov.
Captain, navigation is not responding. The circuits are as lifeless as a Stalinist.
Any ideas, Lieutenant?
I was barely able to reroute the necessary connections last time, Captain. Communications are completely useless now. We may be able to enter codes into the library computer and instruct others to send messages to us.
Captain, I believe I may be able to adjust the sensors to detect these spatial rifts and pilot the Enterprise to avoid them. However, the sensors are too heavily damaged here. I will need to get to auxiliary control as soon as possible if I am to reroute the necessary systems.
Mr. Spock, the bulkheads were breached just outside of the bridge. No one's going to be able to leave the bridge for at least an hour unless they're transported out.
It's stuck. We're not getting out of here that way.
Captain, the library computer is online. Apparently, its circuits were shielded from the explosion. Captain, I have managed to program a message into the library computer. The first time a person accesses the computer, they will read our distress signal. Hopefully, they can code a reply into the computer, which we can access. Captain, the transporters are operational. I request permission to be transported, so I can begin the adjustments to sensors as soon as possible.
Go ahead, Spock. No, Spock, I'll go first. Go ahead, Spock. Spock!
Captain, what was that thing?
I don't know, Mr. Chekhov, but I intend to find out.
Captain, that thing with the 4 arms wasn't Mr. Spock, was it? That beam wasn't some sort of transmutation beam, was it?
I don't think so, Mr. Walker, but the two have to be connected.
Captain, this bridge is useless. For our own sake as well as Spock's, we have to find a way to get out of here.
Captain, we need to get off the bridge. I recommend we keep monitoring the science station and see if anyone answers our messages.
I'm patching your log into the computer. You should have voice messages.
Captain, we've managed to jury-rig an evacuation tube through the bridge turbo lift. We should be able to keep it stable long enough for you to be evacuated.
Captain's log. After equipping ourselves with tricorders and phasers, we are now searching for a way to find Spock and return him to us. I've determined that the best place to start
Captain, it's a very good thing we took the warp engines offline.
How bad is it, Scotty?
That explosion was 42% stronger than the one that struck near the bridge. Our lift warp nacelle is crippled, Captain.
I hope it's not a trend. Keep me posted to Mr. Scott. Kirk out. I could use advice. Suggestions, anyone? Spock.
I know, Captain. We miss him too. Well, they say the price of freedom is eternal vigilance.
What does that mean, Sulu? That we should have been more vigilant? How could we? The sensor said nothing.
Well, maybe if Starfleet sensor designers would be quicker to modify their sensors to react to new phenomena.
You two are as bad as Spock and McCoy. Our highest priority is control of the sensors. We must find Spock.
I'll handle it, Captain. Remember, I was a physicist when I first joined the Enterprise.
Ah! Captain, look! Captain, what happened?
It appears our alien friend likes its privacy.
Why do aliens always seem to invade the Enterprise?
Actually, Pavel, last year, 5 different alien species tried to take over the USS Regulus. The Enterprise is at it relatively easy compared to them.
But why do all the competent aliens always seem to invade the Enterprise?
Kirk to Scott. Come in, Scotty. Kirk to Uhura. Come in, Lieutenant. Kirk to sick bay. Bones, where are you? Computer. Kirk to Scott.
Captain, I got bad news for you. This rift is affecting the hull of the ship. Our hull integrity is dropping fast.
How bad is it, Scotty?
It's at 92% and dropping rapidly. According to our system specs, if it drops below 63%...
Put as much powers as you can to the shields. Use them to support our hull integrity. Divert as much power as you can to the sensors. Let's find out what's causing this. Evacuate all people from the outer decks. Divert power from life support on those decks evenly to shields and sensors. Put as much powers as you can.
That will probably only buy us a few minutes, Captain.
Do it, Scotty. Every minute counts. Kirk out. Kirk to Scott. Come in. Kirk to Uhura.
Captain, I've moved operations to Galileo 2 shuttlecraft. I've sent a message to Starfleet Command, and I've rerouted internal communications to run from here.
Lieutenant Uhura, what happens if the shuttle bay is hit by an explosion? That's one of the most vulnerable areas on the ship.
That's a risk I'm prepared to take, Mr. Sulu. I've activated the shuttle's shields for protection.
Good. Be prepared to evacuate the shuttle on my signal. Kirk out. Kirk to sick bay.
Jim, what the devil are you doing to the ship?
I'm not the one doing it. Spock's gone, Bones. Someone took him from the ship. Some aliens that I've never seen before.
If you can get me a medical scan, I might be able to find some way to combat them. Make that a priority. McCoy out.
Is it my imagination, or is Dr. McCoy getting a little power crazy lately?
I'd say a lot power crazed, Hikaru.
Captain, there's some sort of barriers on the walls and the doors. Our sensors cannot penetrate it. A single life form, non-terrestrial, carbon-based. It doesn't seem to be doing anything to our controls. In fact, it's not doing much of anything. Captain, I'm getting a sensor reading on the alien. I'm sure Dr. McCoy will find this data very interesting. Don't worry, Captain. If we can't get Spock back, I wouldn't be surprised if he got himself out of this mess.
I'd like to think so, but I fear there are limits even to Spock's abilities. Am I mistaken? Or do I get the impression the intruder could do a lot of physical damage if it wanted?
It doesn't need to. The Antares Rift is doing all the physical damage that is necessary. El Sulu, when the Enterprise is in trouble, who do they turn to save the day?
And guess who doesn't get the glory?
Or the credit.
Yes, let's not forget the credit.
Stop complaining, gentlemen. And I thought McCoy was a Major League grouser.
Well, Jim, I leave you alone for 5 minutes and look at the mess you've made.
Don't worry, Doctor. I'm all right. You don't need to treat me.
Then why are you here?
I'm just with the captain. I'm feeling great. You don't have to...
That's fine, Lieutenant.
Hello, Doctor. Nice weather, isn't it?
You're a navigator, not a conversationalist, Ensign.
Yes, I am. And an unappreciated navigator at that.
If we keep having these random explosions, Doctor, I'm afraid your sickbay is going to be overflowing.
I thought you were a helmsman, not the bearer of bad tidings.
I do many things well, Doctor.
Well, Bones, it looks like we have to save Spock in order to save the Enterprise.
That's a tough choice, Jim.
Here's the sensor scan, Bones.
Jim, this says our invaders are Vorians.
Vurians, but they're extinct. They died out at the time that Cochrane invented the Warp Drive. They were slaughtered in the Three Systems War.
Jim, I know my history, but I also know my anatomy. The alien in auxiliary control is a Vorian. There's only one strange thing.
What's that?
This creature isn't capable of doing some of the things that you described. It's an ordinary Vorian. No special organs, no unusual brain patterns, nothing that traditionally suggests superhuman feats.
Can you neutralize it, Bones?
Actually, it's a female. And yes, I know of something that can incapacitate it without harming it. A gas mixture. You'll have to pump large quantities into auxiliary control for it to be effective, but it should work almost immediately. Here's the gas, Jim. Be careful with it. There hasn't been a Vorian in 150 years.
Communicators taken.
Kirk to Scott. Come in, Scotty.
Captain, the hull degradation is continuing. It's currently below 92%, but at the rate it's dropping, we have less than an hour before the ship is destroyed.
Captain, there has been an explosion near the shuttle bay. I'm fine. There has been no significant damage.
Any luck communicating with Starfleet Command?
I have made contact with the light cruiser USS Jefferson, sir. It will reach the edge of Antares Rift in 16 hours. The Rift is playing havoc with communications.
Thank you, Lieutenant Kirk out.
Captain, do you think we'll get out of this alive?
I really don't know.
That doesn't give me much confidence. Really, Captain, do you think we'll get out of this alive?
Are you trying to suggest we won't? Will I have to put you on report for threatening morale?
Thank you, sir.
This is not one of my better days.
Captain, if we get out of this alive, can we have shore leave?
Well, you hear what Mr. Scott said about us needing to go to a starbase.
Actually, Captain, I had something a bit larger in mind.
Chekhov lives for shore leave.
I do not. Well, maybe a little bit.
There's an awful lot of corridors on the Enterprise.